Hello and welcome ladies and gentlemen to the resumption of the UK Sim Racing Community's Porsche Cup Season 8 as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC known as iRacing, and we are back with a bang tonight to see the final 3 weeks of the season play out. 5 rounds to go, 2 of them tonight, and for rounds 9 and 10 we couldn't ask to be anywhere more legendary in the world than in Germany for the one and only Nürburgring Nordschleife. That's right ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be racing tonight at what was coined by Sir Jackie Stewart as the Green Hell in reference to its status of being perhaps the ultimate monstrosity of a racing circuit in terms of demand it placed on drivers. And as our drivers get ready to go racing today, they'll be taking on the 14.17 mile course that consists of over 100 corners and a grand total of more than 300 metres of elevation change from its lowest point to its highest point. And as our drivers roar their way over the Eiffel Mountains of Germany, it's going to be tight, it's going to be narrow, and it's going to be risk versus reward, with even the smallest of mistakes potentially seeing drivers going off the circuit into the immediate barriers, and it could be a race ending before they know it. But as they get ready to go racing today, we welcome you all to this live broadcast being brought to you from Circuit Side, only available on the official UK Sim Racing Twitch channel. Indeed, if you go to twitch.tv/UK Sim Racing, you can be tuning in there, and we welcome you all in to this broadcast. Say hello to you guys and girls in the Twitch chat and in the broadcasting and the commentary booth. You have myself, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. Now we're bringing you all your racing action today, and indeed for the entirety of the season. I want to give you a recap of the season thus far and what we've still got lying in wait. As we can see, we started off all the way back on the 28th of September, with today being the 16th of November, and when we started off it was rounds 1 and 2 at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. Brazil opened up proceedings, and it opened them up with an absolutely fantastic pair of races where the battles are plenty in gold, silver and bronze, and also the team's championships to be thrown into the mix with it. And straight afterwards we had our first mid-season break due to official iRacing events. But then we returned with round number 3 at the Circuit of the Americas on the 12th of October, and then in our first endurance race round of the season we got to see those battles are plenty, and particularly at the then time Carl Felvers in the silver class having his late battle with Lucas Romano with the tyres going away and away from Felvers, and in return Lucas Romano being able to step up and take victory with only laps to go. Now it's on the 12th of October, and then on the 19th of October the story continued in the United States of America with a visit to the Detroit Grand Prix at Belle Isle Circuit, and there we got to see our drivers take on the street circuit course, no longer in use in the real world, being replaced by the downtown Detroit street circuit. But still for rounds 4 and 5 we got to see our drivers revive an iconic circuit in the US of A, and while the state of Michigan roared to the sound of flat 6 machinery, and as our drivers pounded around the circuit there with the bumps and scrapes of the walls, we got to see some thrilling action, particularly the rise of Charlie Max in the bronze class, taking one back versus his close rival of Ben Kirby. Then in round 6 and 7 we made our way to Spain for the Motorland Aragon circuit and the Grand Prix circuit, not leaving us with any questions as to whether it produced fantastic racing. We got to see drama, we got to see battling aplenty, and particularly with the recently promoted to gold class Carl Felvers, we got to see the man go on a mission in order to charge his way through the field, and he did so spectacularly, taking the fight to the very best, including Philip Hammer and also what was Nathan Foster. And after the 26th of October on the 2nd November, we brought the mid-portion of the season to a close last time out with round number 8, the second of our 3 endurance race rounds, and that was at the Bathurst circuit, but known more formally as Mount Panorama in Australia. And there we got to see our drivers absolutely take it to the mountain. In terms of our kings of the mountain, well, we got to see our overall winner and gold winner Thomas Cove really deliver up front in his close battle with Philip Hammer in the early stage of the race. In the silver class it was Lucas Romano who dominated in the silver class, taking himself one step closer to the championship lead, as we'll see very shortly. And in the bronze class we got to see the showdown between Ben Kirby and Charlie Max, where in the end it was Charlie Max who made a penultimate corner pass right at the end of the race on Ben, and it ended up going the way of Max. But today it's rounds 9 and 10, and after our visit to Germany we'll have 2 more weeks of racing to come. On the 23rd of November it's our final heat and feature combination round, and that'll be at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari, but known more commonly as Imola in reference to a local town in Italy. And then we bring it all to a close with our final endurance race round of the season, round 13 of 13, and that'll be at Road Atlanta, just in time for Christmas when we bring the curtain down on the 30th of November with our final visit to the US of A. But speaking of visits, let's take a visit to the championship standings after what is 8 rounds of racing. we start off with the Gold Drivers Championship standings. And here we can see Philip Hammer continues to lead the way for Impulse Racing ahead of Olympus XGD6 Thomas Cope. However, some of you may note that gap between the two drivers now standing at what is 25 points. That gap has decreased significantly over the last couple of rounds, and given the fact that Thomas Cope was not in attendance for the opening 2 rounds of the season and therefore already has a 0 score against his name for when the drop scores are activated, arguably on paper you could say in theory that actually these tables, when adjusted for drop scores, are the other way round. However, that's in theory, and the practicality today is it's neck and neck between these two drivers, with the fact that Philip Hammer leads the way currently on standings, and he'll be looking to try and strike back versus Thomas Cope in these final 3 rounds and pick up wins aplenty in order to make sure things level out for that season finale. Meanwhile, for Thomas Cope, he's just got to keep the pressure on and keep on his winning streak, and if he's able to do so, will find himself come the final round on top form potentially. But then outside the top 2, we can see Nathan Foster still in the hunt there on 142 points. He's 17 behind Cope, and the Empire Motorsport driver really has proven to be the best of the rest, a step ahead of the field, albeit trying to keep the top 2 as honest as possible, with Emil Koopmans closing in there for Apex Missers. And there's Oystein Herford for Olympus XGD6 and Nicholas Nold there for Impulse Racing. Arguably by the unluckiest drivers on the circuit if you exclude Emil Koopmans, in the fact things have not quite gone the way for the Impulse Racing driver, who on 121 points would argue he should be the man in 3rd place, and he'll be looking to try and reinstate that course tonight. Corey Lazarus meanwhile in P7 for Blackout Motorsport OPR, the 114 point driver there, doing well and battling for a top 5 finish this season. Then we do have the sizable gap to the second half of the Goldfield, led by Carl Fellas for HFT Race on 79 points, 5 clear of Tim Darracott, and it's Simon C. Bamboo completes the top 10 ahead of Lee Holmes, with Ryan Walker wrapping up the standings. We then come to the silver class, and here we can see the complexion is similar, albeit a bit close at the top of the field. It's Jeremy DeBoer who leads the way for DBR, only by a margin of 7 points over RPM's Lucas Romano. Jeremy DeBoer, whilst he hasn't been winning, he has been extremely consistent, and nobody can beat him in that regard when it comes to the silver class standings, and that's why he's your championship leader. Lucas Romano, meanwhile, is starting to really establish a run of form of his own, and a winning run at that, and therefore he'll be looking for another win today to close the delta between the two of them. With Peak Sim Racers Casper Tunstead at P3 on 140 points, and at the same time Tunstead really looking cool, calm and collected, and we saw him pick up his first wins of his Porsche Cup career earlier in the season at Motorland Aragon, and right now staying 10 points clear of Chris Eddersford for UK Sim Racing admin team. Marcel Fritsch a further 2 points behind for WS Racing Esports. It does seem as though since his demotion to the silver class, a new breath of life has really been booted into the Austrian driver, and to be fair, Fritsch has been displaying some fantastic drives ever since, with Forsten Sever P6 there for Ring for Sim Racing, and then DDD Blaming, Sean Cranley Swash, Glenn Humberstone and Gus Franken completing a top 10. Thomas Aspal P11 there for Racelab Esports, Nets Navarro Debova and Nicholas Grunstrom who complete your standings. We then come to the bronze class meanwhile, and here we can see it's Charlie Max versus Ben Kirby all the way, there's no question about it. And the two drivers right now separated by only 6 points, and well, with the win that he took last time out, Charlie Max has extended his lead by a further 2 points compared to the previous position, but it is marginal at best, and it goes to show how hard these two are pushing each other every step of the way for Friends Racing by Connexus and All Spares by Connexus. Meanwhile, Clicks Racing Sean Dobie at P3 still looking to pick up his first ever Porsche Cup win in the bronze class, or in any class he's participated in, and we're looking forward to that, and we reckon Dobie might be able to get a win before the end of this season, given the fact if either of the top 2 have an instant, he is right there and ready to strike. But can the Clicks Racing driver do that today, or will he have to worry more about Craig Schill for ATEC Racing Siam, who just ahead of his teammate of Alistair Hatcher, but only 6 points off that P3 position. Outside the top 5 from Hatcher, we go to Mark Cadmore, the privateer, who on 63 points is 15 clear of Joe Pinder, and it's Cameron Smith, Stephen Ray and Jamie McEwen who complete your standings there, with a battle for P8 separated by only 2 points between Smith and Ray McEwen, and keep in mind Joe Pinder is only a further 3 points clear. Now we come to the Teams Championship stands, last but not least, and here we can see it's Impulse Racing versus Olympus XGD6. The battle is on. These two teams have absolutely streamed away at the front of the field, separated by only 6 points between them, and it could not be closer. Where Impulse Racing strikes strong, Olympus XGD6 strikes strong the next round, and back and forth they go. And meanwhile, from the top 2 to Empire Motorsport in P3 on 123 points, 1 clear Blackout Motorsport OPR, and in return only a further 8 points clear Apex Missers. That fight for 3rd is definitely well and truly on, but don't rule out RPM or DBR, who are right there to pick up the points should the top 5 drop any points at any key points, and they're in their own fight for P6. Fake Simulation stand on P8 on 74 points, and the HFT Racing, the UK Sim Racing admin team on 50 points, equal to Peak Sim Racing, but ahead based on result countback, and that's how they complete your top 10 with Peak Sim Racing P11 and thereby best of the rest. ATEC Racing Team Purple in P12 on 49 points, they're 13 clear of WS Racing Esports, with Ring for Sim Racing and Friends Racing by Connexus completing your top 15. And then from Friends Racing by Connexus, it's their sister team of All Spares by Connexus, a further 8 points behind in P16, where Tic Racing sign a further 4 off, and it's 24-hour Punter People, Race Lab Esports and Clicks Race to complete your top 20. Outside the top 20, let's not forget about them, Satellite Racing, Alimas by Connexus, and Beak Sim Racing, who wrap up your team's championship standings. But now let's come to our circuit for today, and well, of course, it is the racing version of the Industrie Version of the Nürburgring Nordschleife, located near the town of Nürburgring in the district of Ahrweiler in the state of Rhineland-Palatinate of Germany. This is a circuit that arguably needs no introduction, but for the purposes of the broadcast, we will be giving you one. And as you can see from the circuit map provided to us by iRacing.com, alongside their brilliant simulator, and thank you to iRacing for the fantastic track maps as well, this is a circuit with a wide variety of corners. Indeed, there's no type of corner or indeed complex that is not available at this circuit that you couldn't find elsewhere in the world, and therefore that makes it the ultimate circuit to really trial your abilities as a racing driver and also the capabilities of the machine under your hands and feet. As the drivers make the way around so many iconic corners, all the way from the opening corners of Sabine Schmidt Curve at turn number 1 on Wes Hatzenbach, the opening sequence, all the way through to the latter half lap, such as the run to Brunschen Corner, or YouTube Corner as it's nicknamed, as it is normally the site of many a crash when you see on a YouTube compilation. You also have the run down the Dottinger Höhe Straight, the extended straight, where we'll see most of the overtakes potentially happen. We can't say there wouldn't be some overtakes over the course of the entirety of the loop of the circuit if drivers are close enough and brave enough, and therefore it is definitely going to be a finger-biting moment, or a nail-biting moment, with regards to our drivers battling hard and chasing one another around the circuit for the best part of the 14.17 miles from lap to lap. Now coming on to our rules for today. Given the length of the circuit, we do have some slightly different rules for this pair of rounds. Firstly, qualifying wise, it's still a lone qualifying format where our drivers take to the circuit in isolation, but instead of the standard 8 minutes, because we won't be able to get a lap in otherwise, our drivers will have 2 laps or 20 minutes in total to set their best possible time. Now race-wise, races shall commence by a standing start. This is the tradition of the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup, with the heat race grid being set based on results of qualifying. That's a given, but the heat race today will be 3 laps in duration rather than timed to 12 minutes. The feature race grid, meanwhile, shall be a partial reverse grid based on results of the heat race, and once again, it will be based on a top 10 positions being inverted. So first through to 10th will be inverted, and that's how we'll set the grid for our feature race. But note, the feature race shall be 4 laps, so 1 extra lap there, and putting our drivers through their paces. And there are no mandatory pit stop requirements in the heat or the feature race. 1 fast repair is available in each race, and the driver shall receive a drive-through penalty if they accumulate 24 or more instant points. We extended that number given the length of the circuit and the possibility of off-tracks or corner cuts, and therefore that's going to be a bit more obliging to our drivers. But that's enough rules, regulation, everything in between. You're here for the racing. As we look back to the circuit side, let's take you for our schedule very quickly. Times in Greenwich Mean Time for tonight, or Universal Coordinate Time at UTC. And as we can see there, in approximately 2 minutes time, we will be going to our qualifying session. 20 minutes in duration. We'll get on board with other drivers for the purposes of giving you a tour of the circuit under qualifying conditions. And after that, we'll be heading to the grid for our first race of the day at approximately 20 past 8 this evening. And it will be our 3-lap heat race. After which we'll take a brief breather before getting ready to go to the grid at 8:45 for our second race of the day, the round 10 feature of 4 laps. Relatively pleasant conditions here today, an ambient temperature and a track temperature both at 26 degrees centigrade. Got a bit of cloud coming over the circuit as we look to the crowds in the background, so it's definitely going to be a circuit that's not going to heat up too much, and therefore it's going to be ideal for our drivers to drive it around today as they get themselves set. But as they do, we don't have too many drivers out on the circuit currently, but those we do are getting in the last little bit of practice here, as we do have the best part of 30 plus drivers in attendance today. And right now we're looking at the man from Impulse Racing, the man who we talked about earlier and saying that a bit of bad luck has followed him this season. It's Nicholas Nold in the 917, the German driver here, looking to have a great day today and looking to really come on strong in these final 5 rounds of the season as he makes his way on around here, charging his way on through and making his way in towards the right-hander very shortly. Of what will be a Bergwerk there, coming on for the extended right-hander that catches out so many drivers by running wide there, but more on that in due course. And he heads all the way up the run now towards mid curve, all now feeling very composed in the car. But we do have some new drivers on the grid today, and well, I can tell you this man has joined us on the grid. He's just gone fast since this practice session. He's a bit of a ringmeister, it could be said. It's Effect Simulations number 420 driver of Paul Busby, and well, the buzz is definitely in the air today, and we look forward to seeing how he can potentially shake things up at the front of the field in the gold class. He's going to be one to watch out for, there's no doubt about it. We do potentially have a grand total of 5 new drivers on the grid today, and well, as Busby sits there at the moment, we also do look to this man who joins us from Hong Kong. It's the privateer in the number 15 of Phai Lau, and welcome to him in the bronze class, and we look forward to seeing how he gets on today. A newcomer to the UK sim racing community, and therefore we're very eager to see how Lau performs here, and really making his debut in a sim racing league, as I'm to understand. I don't think he's had too much league experience, and what better way to make a debut than in the UK sim racing Porsche Cup Season 8. But the checker flag comes out on this final practice warm-up session, ladies and gentlemen. You know what time it is. It is time for us to go qualifying. 20 minutes, who's going to be on pole? Let's find out. So as qualifying gradually gets underway and all of our drivers are starting to get themselves set up and making the way out of what will be the Touristen stands there. Indeed, at the site where drivers would make their way out to the circuit if they were taking part as a public road track day. In the fact that you can visit this circuit and drive your own car around the Nürburgring Nordschleife. It's the Touristenverden route, I should say, or the tourist route. But the thing is about here, you're not allowed to go racing against one another. Indeed, you're not allowed to try and set times when you do go driving around the circuit. Indeed, if they do catch you running any time and equipment in your own car, then you will be banned from coming to the Nürburgring ever again. Indeed, that's a common thing with most track days around the world, as we're to understand it, unless they are for competitive teams and getting ready to go racing or practice sessions, if you will. But as we do see Lucas Romano already going on to his first flying lap, keep in mind our drivers starting towards the end of laps, they go straight out onto one, and that's how they're able to get the 2 laps in within the 20 minutes. What can we expect here in terms of qualifying? Well, the key thing is that with regards to this circuit is that it's got a bit of everything, but it's also a very long circuit, so it's not just about your technical ability as a driver. You may be the master, you may be absolutely clocked in with regards to the feel of the Porsche 992 Cup car, and you may be able to absolutely rag it through the corners, but can you keep that up for the entirety of the lap? We are looking at a lap here, ladies and gentlemen, that is about 6 minutes and 40 seconds. The fastest drivers are going to be targeting somewhere in the region of 6 minute 36 to 6 minute 37 is what we're expecting in the gold class of pole position today, based on a little bit of data we've been able to take from some drivers who competed in official iRacing events earlier on this week. But right now, just getting around for 2 qualifying laps and finding the warmth in the times over the first lap and then going on a greater attack in the second lap and just getting the car home, that could be enough to put you right up there in terms of your qualifying time versus your rivals. Indeed, it only takes one mistake and it is all over, and the same applies in the race. And as we say hello there to Ryan Walker in the Twitch chat, who says good evening to you, Ryan. We'll say hello there to Mr. Matt Edmondson, the man behind the intro. Indeed, if you enjoy the intro, do let him know in the Twitch chat, because Mr. Edmondson, an absolute master of the video editing craft, and he says big green hell energy there. And when you're going to go crash there and then seeing as you do like a bit of track day driving, well, I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to take my own car around the Nürburgring. I may do it one day, but indeed it's a little bit too scary for me as a regular track driver. I do prefer some shorter circuits by comparison, normally within the United Kingdom. And never say never, I may go abroad in the end, but enough about me. Let's come back to you guys and girls in the chat and then back to our drivers. And we also do say hello to Apex Mrs. Emil there, or Emil Koopmans, who says, what, I'm full for indeed. Emil, you've been putting in some absolutely phenomenal performances indeed. The run of bad luck from season 7 finally coming to an end, and therefore we're very happy to see that you're in 4th in the Gold Class Championship, and we are missing you today as you're sick, and I'm very sorry to hear that, and I hope you do feel better soon. We're sending positive vibes your way. But as all the drivers now make their way on around here, we do want to introduce a couple more drivers to the grid today, including this man. You may remember him from FR20 Sim Racing, and I do believe at season 7 unless I'm mistaken, but he's entering as a privateer for the purpose of this season in the silver class. It's David Biggerdike as he makes his way on through there in the 222 car, but we'll always remember him in that wonderful pink livery under the FR20 Sim Racing banner. I do believe he still races for the team, but he's just been entered as a privateer for this season, coming in late into the day, and he's definitely going to be quite a force to be reckoned in the silver class. And whilst he can't potentially take the silver championship crown, I wouldn't be surprised if he's potentially mixing it up for a few silver podiums between now and the end of the season, and that could definitely turn things on their head when it comes to that silver class championship battle between Jeremy Dweller and Lucas Romano. Now, coming from David Biggerdike, we also do have a new driver in the silver class, albeit he was registered at the start of the season, but this is the first round, or pair of rounds we should say, he's able to make, and this is the Norwegian driver from Racing Lab Esports. It is none other than Matt Strand, one of 2 Norwegian drivers we're expecting to be on the grid today, the other one being none other than Thomas Aspaug in the silver class as well. We'll try and see if he's out there very shortly, but right now we do welcome Matt Strand to the grid and look forward to seeing how he gets on in this pair of rounds, as he does make his effective debut in that wonderful Racing Lab Esports livery on the car there, the wonderful combination of green, black and a bit of orange splattered onto it as well. And indeed, if you see Racing Lab Esports on the grid, you know it's a good grid to be on, because they are a very fast collection of drivers, as he makes his way all the way through the mid-curve on at the rise now as he charges his way on through. Meanwhile, we do look to Tim Darrencott, the Effect Simulations driver, who of course now being partnered by Paul Busby, at least for this pair of rounds, if not for the remainder of the season. And right now Darrencott making his way on through there and just keeping the car nice and composed as he breaks his way down into the absolute nightmare sequence of corners that is known as their siphon hairpin, as he comes on down through that and now exits and out and makes his way up towards Brideside and then the bridge. And as he comes in towards Brideside corner at the left hand here, onto the brakes he goes on through, and right now looking at very composed. A lot of our drivers are regulars around here and really do use this circuit as a bit of a time trialing circuit. It's a nickname that's given to it in the world of simulation, in the fact that a lot of drivers absolutely love to do time trial sessions around the green hill, and it's understandable as to why, because this is one of those circuits which really does make you feel at home with the car, and therefore it is really a driver's circuit here. This is the circuit where you want to push yourself to the ultimate limit in terms of your capabilities and look to improve time and time again. And as he makes his way all the way towards the mid-curve right now, keeping it smooth and consistent, and that's key as he makes his way up towards the next braking zone. But looking for one of our gold drivers, we do look to one of our bronze drivers here, and it's Quick's Racing Sean Derby. And well, he's the man we're looking towards today to see whether he can potentially push himself in amongst the battle between Charlie Max and Ben Kirby. He really has been the next driver in the order out of the bronze drivers in terms of the third place man, and as he makes his way onwards and through in towards what will be very shortly a still Strecker corner, coming onto the brakes, and we'll bring it on nicely down and through he goes. And we're looking at absolutely hooked up there. And well, again, this is a circuit where setup is not going to be as much of a consideration in terms of there's no one way to optimally set up the car for the Nürburgring, in the fact that if you prioritise cornering capabilities on the car and therefore you put a lot more downforce or rear wing on the car, you are going to lose out down the Dottinger Herne, also the run coming out of Flugplatz all the way up to Schwadenkreuz. But in return, if you decide to run less rear wing, then you can carry less apex speed through the corners. So this is a circuit, again, where you want the car set up to your liking, because at the end of the day, you've got to be one with the car for the best part of the 14 plus miles of each and every lap. And if you've got the car set up in the zone, then that is worth quite a lot of places already. It's only when you're at the very top, when you are pushing for the best of the very best, that's where the small setup differences could be the difference between you taking the win or you losing out, in particular with the drag race down the Dottinger Herne to complete the final run of a given race. And of course, that's always one of the most intense moments of racing here at the Nürburgring. As we do briefly lose Willie Sean Dowie there through the trees, and he rematerialises. Well, we do have some drivers coming towards the end of their initial flying laps, including Nicholas Nold here as the Impulse Racing drive charges on down. And well, as he does so, he and teammate Philip Hammer are both really setting the time screens on fire right now with regards to going purple. And very shortly, we're going to be jumping on board with Nicholas Nold for a lap of the circuit as he comes on through here, going in towards the final corner, taking a right turn rather than going straight on. And as he does so, the first lap will be on the board very shortly, and let's ride on board with the Impulse Racing drive as he takes you around. Into the Smith curve, then down to second gear he goes, and as he exits out what used to be known as Nord curve, now trying to make his way on through the triple right sequence here, going all the way through, balancing the throttle in fifth gear, where he gets ready to head into Hudson back. Now getting ready for the brakes here, it's all about trail braking, down from fourth, down to third, and now as he comes up through the right hand, it holds third gear, let the car flow out, and now back on the throttle here as he straight lines the corners together, braking down to third gear, rolling through the right into left, and now letting the car come out into Horheiken, onto the brakes here, get a nice early apex into the right, and then full throttle here as you climb over the apex curve of the left-hander and charge your way up towards Flugplatz via Kudelbacher. Now as he makes his way through the right-hand kick, will let the car come over to the left-hand side. Let's listen in. Is there a lift on the jump? A very slight lift, if any, there. Absolutely attacking the corner in sixth gear, flat out through the right-hander, using all the road width, and now the full commitment will be demonstrated here as he makes his way all the way up towards Ehrenberg corner, albeit by Schwadenkreuz, going by Cottonborn there, the left-hand king, and now into left-hand where you've got to lift here. Lifting off, holding sixth gear, keeping the car nice and tight to left and onto the brakes immediately as the corner ends to drop it down in third gear and going for Ehrenberg, and now back flat out using the camber of the road to push the car out the corner and going all the way up towards Aldenau Force. But first is the drop through Kosbrucker and in to the compression as he comes on down here, and very shortly he'll be rising up, and this is an absolute gut-wrenching sequence of corners I've been told in real life. And as he makes his way through the left into right, into Aldenau Force now, trail braking every step of the way here, down from sixth all the way down to second gear into left-hander, now into right, but you don't want to turn in too early, you need a late apex and avoid the apex curve there, otherwise that unsettles the car. And as he powers his way out, it's been a smooth run from Nolde, and now up towards the next sequence of corners he goes, starting with Metzgertsfeld, Now corner can catch out many. It's a lift here and nothing more. And it might also be a downshift as he gets in nice and tight to the apex, but never touches the apex. And now into a left to right sequence here on the run in towards Callanhard. And as he comes in towards the downhill braking zone for the right-hand right-angle corner down to third gear. And again, a corner where you can get on the pan nice and use the camber of the road. And now in to the Spiegel curve chicane. Left into right here, it's a blind chicane. You don't see the right-hander until it's too late. You've got to commit and commit to memory. And now into the triple right-hander of Dreifat Rex, which appropriately named their drive being free in German, as he makes his way into the braking zone, trail braking into their siphon hairpin here, down to second gear, going nice and deep. It's a very late apex, you can't see, you've got to brake for a corner you can't see, as he makes his way out there now, attacking his way into Breitscheid, going into the bridge here and over the halfway point of the lap so far, still plenty to go, as he drops to third gear, exiting out, now keep bringing the car to the left hand side to go into X-Mueller, coming on through the right hander here, and a corner which can unsettle the car because there's a depression in the middle of the corner's apex, and therefore the rear of the car starts to slide, but he catches the car nicely, and then going for X-Tail, and now getting it ready for what will be at the corner of Bergvert, the corner that sets up the ultimate curve. You've got to nail this to get the lap time, as he makes his way through the right-hander, a nice run, back on the throttle, nice and early, doesn't let the car come out too wide, so as to cause the car to drop off the exit curve, just about balances correctly, as he powers his way now all the way up the hill, where he has a brief breather here as he heads through Kesselchen and into Klosterol. And in the meantime, one thing I definitely have noticed with Nicholas Nold is that he seems to be running a racing outfit in tribute to Super Mario Bros, in particular to Mario the main character. And I'm not sure if Nold is a plumber in his spare time or as his day job, but either way, right now he's climbing the gaps when he comes to the amount of track width he's using as he heads in towards mid-curve. Commitment there, slight lift, but whole sixth gear back on full throttle immediately here to carry the speed all the way up towards Still Striker corner through the right-hand king. No shine off of the throttle, and now onto the brakes he goes from about 170 metres from corner apex all the way down to third. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, and now feed the power in as he comes past the second apex and up towards the Influence Caracola Carousel. And onto the brakes he goes nice and early down to second gear. Keep the car in at the depression here. Make sure to wait for the exit as he powers out here. Car bouncing around the suspension as he exits out. And past Poston 147, he's about to go. The left-hand king that's about to come out here and flat out way through fifth gear, running very close to the edge of the road surface there, left into right, uphill, still going in towards what will be Hoat corner, and onto the brakes here, down to third gear, and now it's about the descent down the mountains, whereas he makes his way on through here, very fast and choppy sequence of corners, absolute rhythm at its finest. He makes his way through Hedwigsholm in towards Whipperman very shortly, in fact coming into the rise of Whipperman now, as he goes through the right hander, and down here he goes again, blind summit as he heads in towards the left-hander, and this is going to be the run into Erzbach corner as he goes left into right here. The car snap into the right on the downhill descent, bumps plenty in the road as well to unsettle the car, but no, not phased at all as he makes his way into Brunschen corner here, goes to a nice late apex, gets on the pad nice and early, lets the car run up high, runs into the gravel slightly as he comes in towards the left-hander here of Ice Curve corner, over the right as he goes straight line on through it. Now it's flat out as much as you dare as you make your way on through Flansgard and Irons and charge his way onto the jump. And jumping over, dropping a gear in mid-flight there in order to drop down the fall and get back on the power as he makes way for it now to Flansgard and Spy, also known as the Stefan Balafes, as he makes his way on down here. Another slight jump, sitting on that tight line, flat out as he goes. You see him again, just listening. Absolute commitment there on the downshift to fourth, and now holding fourth gear as he makes his way through the left-hander Schwalbenschwan's corner and onto the brakes here for the Kleiner Carousel, down to third, lets the car stay nice and tight, doesn't get eager to launch the car out as Ijo end up in the barrier, and as he makes way out the left into the right hand now, going into Galgenkopf corner, a corner that can catch out many right at the end of the lap as he spins his way through the right-hander and onto the Dossinger Higher straight, and that is 90% of the lap complete now as he makes his way on up towards what will be the last couple of corners here, charging flat out, and this is where we'll see who's got the most top speed in the car in terms of who's running the least amount of rear wing on the run, but already up to an excess of 168 miles an hour, I should say, as he makes way out the rise, but keep the car to the left here. A little bit of true review. Why do you try to keep the car to the left down the Dottinger High from the driver's perspective? It's because the tree line there and also the bridge they make the way under, it shields the car from wind resistance when the wind blows across the circuit from head on. And as Noel makes his way through, reaching a maximum 169 miles an hour now, trail braking his way all the way through Tiergarten in the Hohen Rain, and as he makes his way through the right into left here, one more corner remains and onto the brakes as he completes the lap there, and that is a lap of the Nürburgring Nürburgring and Nordschleife, brought to you by Nicholas Nold. And what a lap it is. It's not fast enough to go back to pole position, but I'll tell you one thing, it's still a very fast lap, and it's a 6:38.831. And right now, can anybody find a way to dethrone Hammer from his pole position lap? What we do see here, none other than Paul Busby, who is going purple over the majority of the lap. The Effect Simulations driver, as he makes his way through the Kleiner carousel, really on the attack, and as he makes his way up towards the braking zone here for what will be turn number. Well, it won't be turn number. We're not going to go by numbers. We're going for Gallenkopf corner here, and down and around he goes onto the Tossingham himself and charging all the way down. All right, now Philip Hammer still holding on to. In fact, Philip Hammer did technically improve on his previous lap, and he's on one more lap here as he makes his way on around and going in towards what will be that final corner. Nathan Foster moves to P6. What can Hammer do here? Can he go even faster? No, he can't. Hammer stays where he is. Meanwhile, Jemmy DeBova does improve to a 6:44.775. That puts him just behind Forsten Setherd, who is going to be on course to take his first pole position of his UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup career. But meanwhile, what about Paul Busby as he makes his way on through the last couple of corners in towards what will be Hohenrain here, and as he makes his way through the right to left, will this be enough to dethrone Hammer? Will it put him on the front row as a minimum? All and more is about to be revealed as he comes out the final corner, and the survey says it's pole position for Paul Busby with a 6:37.117. That is a staggering lap, and well, can anybody beat that? Because that is 1.5 seconds faster than what anybody else has been able to achieve. Meanwhile, teammate Tim Darracott goes P5. We see here Charlie Max making his way on through Tiergarten into Hohenrain now, and as he comes on down, well, he's currently bronze pole sitter. My way is 1.1 seconds over Alistair Hatcher. Ben Kirby not quite as close, the best part of 4.5 seconds off by comparison. Navarro DeBova goes P17, and that's it overall, not silver, with him being approximately P9 silver. Max crossed the line, he does not improve. Meanwhile, and as they make the way on down towards the braking zone there, well, he's decided to park it up. Of course, his qualifying allocation now complete, and well, most of our drivers, I do believe, coming towards the end of their laps. We do have Ben Kirby just parked up there. Simon C. Bamber has just wrapped up his qualifying session with 6:39.723, putting him respectable at P5. And well, I believe Fine Lau has done 2 flying laps on their debut, P26 currently on what is there a 7-minute 20.25. Meanwhile, Corey Lazarus goes up to P7 on 6-minute 40.346, just ahead of Oistein Hereford. But the majority of drivers have completed their qualifying session now. We do have Ben Kirby parked up, as we mentioned, but he won't be going anywhere further. And it does mean, ladies and gentlemen, that our qualifying session is effectively complete right now, and it is Paul Busby who on his debut takes pole position with 6-minute 37.117, shattering the skies in terms of the laps expected. Philip Hammer will be P2 on that front row of the grid, and the gold class will is a 6:38.8, and that was 1.5 seconds down. But to be fair, 1.5 seconds around here, it can be made or lost over the entirety of the lap, where say 3 attempts can on a much shorter circuit. But still, credit to Paul Busby at where it's due. That is a staggering lap, and Hammer, to be fair, a strong P2 with teammate from Impulse Racing at Nicholas Nold just behind him P3, Thomas Cope P4 on the grid, and that's how your top 4 are going to line up in the golden overall category. Meanwhile, to take his first pole position of his silver class career, Forsten Sver is going to be lined up P10 as your silver pole sitter, with Jeremy DeBova and Lucas Romano on the row behind, and we will see it as Nicholas Gronstrom there gets back in the car for a brief moment, I think just to get himself set, and perhaps he'll go out there and do part of the lap just to get himself a little bit further warmed up. But that will be the top 3 of the silver class, P10 through to P12, with Max Strand just behind them, P13. And then in the bronze class, it's Charlie Max who takes another pole position, P20 overall, but he is joined closely by Alistair Hatcher and Ben Kirby. Meanwhile, P24, the best part of 3 places between Hatcher and Kirby, and therefore it does mean that Ben Kirby's got the hard work to do. But in terms of drivers who've not set a qualifying lap, Craig Shield, Mark Cadmore, Stephen Ray and Casper Tunstead, and we'll have to expect that they will be getting laps in when they go racing, but they'll be starting from the back of the grid. But as all drivers get themselves set here, Filau still making his way on around, and right now just calmly heading on around, getting all the practice in. And to be fair, why get out the car when you do have the best part of 1.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session? Because we do have a couple of drivers who have not quite completed 2 whole laps, and therefore they are effectively keeping the qualifying session open to the 20-minute timer, but now using every second here to practice. And as we do say hello to even more of you in the YouTube chat, including Medmu there, remarking on the fact that it's Paul Busby absolutely with a lap saying Jesus Christ. Well, it's not quite Jesus Christ, it's Paul Busby in fact, but he could be the second coming of Jesus Christ given the emoji that he has put in the Twitch chat for Buzz Races there. And I'm going to not say too much more about that in case we do get decensored on religious grounds here in this broadcast. And we also do say hello to Lizard King 3134 and also to Nathanderful Racing. And saying if Busby was in World War II, the Germans wouldn't have bothered. And, well, again, a bit of a political comment there, and I don't think I can say any more about that one, but definitely could appreciate what you're saying in Nathanderful in the fact a phenomenal lap from that Busby, and what a lap indeed. But as Divide for All there says, that lap was silly. And we do hope to see Sean Cranley Swash on the grid a little bit later on today. And all our drivers absolutely set and ready to go. No question about it here. We are only 15 seconds away from what is a green flag race here in our first race of the day. All the drivers are set. The grid is now going to be set very shortly based on the times we have seen. But one thing is certain here. Qualifying well is one thing. Finishing the race is an entirely different story. Even without the potential prospect of rain, not coming to iRacing yet, but perhaps in 2024. But still, we've got plenty to look forward to here today as the drivers make their way to the grid, and this is how they'll all line up. For round number 9 then, the heat race at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, it is Paul Busby who lines up on pole for Effect Simulations, joined on the front row by Philip Hammer for Impulse Racing. Behind them on row number 2, it's Nicholas Knoll for Impulse Racing and Olympus XG86 Thomas Cope, with Simon C. Bamber starting at P5 in a season-best qualifying performance for UK Sim Racing admin team, and he will be joined on the third row of the grid by Tim Darracott for Effect Simulations. Corey Lazarus starts P7 for Blackout Motorsport OPR, joined on the fourth row by Olympus XG86 Oisin Hereford, and it's Nathan Foster who completes the run of gold drives to P9 for Empire Motorsport, with what is their Forsten Svet taking silver pole position at P10 on the grid for the Ring Fiat Sim Racing driver. Then we have Jeremy Doyle starting P11 on the 6th row of the grid, Best for DBR ahead of RPM's Lucas Mano, and then on row number 7 it'll be Matt Strand from RaceLab Esports, who's joined on that row by DDD Blaming for DBR. Sean Cranley Swash starts P15 for 24-hour Punty People, and then the privateer of David Biggedite on his debut starts P16, and we have Nicholas Grunstrom who starts P17 for Beacon Sim Racing, joined on the 9th row of the grid by RPM's Gus Franken. The top 20 is completed on the 10th row by Navarro DeBoer for DBR and Charlie Maxwell Bronze pole sitter for Friends Racing by Connexes, and it'll be Alistair Hatch who starts P21 for 8-Tit Racing Cyan, and he is joined on the 11th row of the grid by Silver driver Glenn Humberstone for 8-Tit Racing Purple. We now have Dirt Bounce for RPM and Ben Kirby for All Spares by Connexes, making up your 12th row, and then behind them on row at number 13 will be Marcel Fritsch for WS Racing Esports and Sean Dobie for Clicks Racing, with row at number 14 going to Fire Lau, the debutant in the bronze class, the privateer P27, and 24-hour Punty People's Roxanne Marshall starting P28, and then the 4 drivers who did not set times we line up as follows on what will be the 15th and 16th row of the grid. It will be Casper Tunstead for Peak Sim Racing and Craig Shield for 8-Tit Racing Sign on row number 15. Now on row number 16 is Stephen Ray for 24-hour Punty People and Mark Cadmore the privateer, and that's how your grid will be set, ladies and gentlemen. 32 drivers in the tents here today, but there can only be one winner in each class. There's no doubt about it, and as the grid is set, it's time for the lights. 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for our first race today as they make the way down to the descent for Schmidt curve, and immediately there Philip Hammer under pressure from Thomas Cope as they make their way through. Nicholas Knoll meanwhile having a very slow start by comparison and dropping all the way down to P5, so Hammer and Cope making the launch, Simon Bamber as well, but Knoll nowhere to be seen, and as they make the way into the opening sequence of corners here, everyone has safely made it on through the first couple, but there's still plenty to go here over the course of this race as they wind and weave their way on through, and as they do, Sean Cranley Swash right now for 24-hour Punty People tucked in the toe of what is DDD Blaming as he makes his way on through the corners, going on around, and as they do so right now, all of our drivers here just getting themselves settled in for the ride, of course, not wanting to go too offensive too early given the fact they've got to warm the tyres up, but right now all 32 drivers on a mission, albeit Final starting from the pit lane to believe perhaps due to an issue with the car, and therefore I'm left the pit lane. It will be our 32nd driver who is away down the order, albeit on the lead lap as well, but meanwhile Simon Bamber here looking for a potential run with what is Nicholas Knoll going around the outside there as they make the way out of floodplains and up towards Schweden Cross they go, and as they make the way in fact through Schwabenschwan's corner I should say, and now into Arenberg, it's going to be Bamber who loses the place there to Nolde after what is the opening quarter of the lap as they come on through the right hander, but as they do, we are being informed as well that Matt Strand wheel has broken during qualifying, and that's not great news there for Matt Strand. Indeed, that could really spell disaster, saying hopefully it's repaired. He's out there at the moment racing, so the Racing Lab Esports driver still in this, but it does look as though that he might be having some technical issues that could be coming back to haunt him as this race goes on. Well, the number 13 drives an unlucky door number for some, but is it unlucky for the Racing Lab Esports driver? Time will tell. It's got Sean Crenny's watch tucked in right behind him right now as they make their way on through the odd now fourth complex and onwards towards the next six corners they go. But as they do, Strand getting the better exit there as they draw the way now in towards what Let's Get Spelled shortly. And as they do, DDD blaming just in front as they power their way in towards left-handed, and it looks like Strand are really closing up quite rapidly there on DDD blaming in that straight line run. That could be an indicator of how much rear wing is being run on the respective cars as they come on down in towards Callan Hard for the first time of asking. But through the right hand they go, and meanwhile it's going to be the driver going quite slowly there, and that's Blackout Motorsport OPR's Corey Lazarus. I think he's had an off track at Callan Hard corner, and what exactly has happened to Blackout Motorsport OPR driver will hold that for a moment. It's trying to go around the outside. Is DDD blaming? Can he make it? No, he can't, and instead has to back off there and box in what is Strand behind. Very brave to try and go around the outside of Drive Factor 8, let alone any corner at this circuit. And as Corey Lazarus carries on here, it does look like there's some damage on the front right hand side from the driver's perspective of that car. I can see the wheel arch receding against the front right tyre, and that could be a sign of perhaps an impact wall coming out of Callan and in to what was the Spiegel curve chicane. We do have a replay to explain the story, and here is the explanation. As he made his way down to the right hand and coming on through, goes a little bit deep, gets the power down early, and it was a knock to the wall there just before what was the Spiegel curve chicane, and that explains why he has got the wheel arch damage on the right hand side. And as we return to you live at racing, ladies and gentlemen, our drive's now charging away towards the mid-curve, and we're looking at the top five once again. Thomas Cope finding himself right in amongst the drivers, including what is Philip Hammer in front, Nicholas Knoll behind. Knoll coming on strong here as they get ready to enter mid-curve corner for the first time. It's going to be a long charge. Now, will anybody get dicey with a move here into the corner? No, but instead it might be towards the end of the run, up towards the braking zone here for what will be still Strecker, and as they make the way into that braking zone, well, right now nobody able to make a move, but you can see that Hammer definitely having to go defensive with Cope close behind. I think that it is Hammer's also trying to get where is Nold in on the attacking position versus Cope as they make the way in towards the Caracola Carousel, and as they head on to the brakes here, the top five still together. Meanwhile, a bit further back, we have Tim Darracott here still on a mission to attack. It's going very wide. That is Oystein Hereford, who's launched the car out of the carousel, and it's gone straight to the wall. And for Oystein Hereford, that could be one that will lead to him coming into the pits at the end of this lap, depending on the condition of the car and whether he has received what is a damage flag as a result, or the legal flag as it's coined or nicknamed, the orange and black flag. And as he makes his way up the hill and through crossing 147 and up into Hoyat's corner, right now Hereford keeping it together, but for how long will he be able to until potentially something goes wrong with that car? We'll have to wait and see. And here we have a quick replay as to what happened to Oystein Hereford. We're back. This was prior to the moment Oystein Hereford in his battle with Tim Darracott, and Darracott coming off on the left hand side here as they make their way in towards what's mid-curve corner. Full commitment there from Darracott, and very well done. But we're going to stay with us. We saw Darracott then running wide and Hereford going around the outside here in a side-by-side battle. Goodness me. And this at the time was the battle for P6, and it was Hereford who got back ahead. But as they made the way on through the corners and now heading up to the Caracola Carousel, we'll get to see what happens to Oystein Hereford under braking here. And I suspect he's going to miss his braking point and go long. He does indeed. And the car goes straight on, obscured by the billboard there. But you can fill in the blanks with regards to what happened. Almost being censored by the billboard, if you will, to see the grinding of German machinery against the wall, which is carrying too much speed, and the car going straight to the wall as a result. But thankfully still able to carry on for now. We'll have to wait and see what that materialises with later on this lap as he makes his way on down to Stefan Beloff S and onwards now towards the last few corners of this lap. And meanwhile, looking on further behind here, we see Roxanne Marshall trying to make some progress versus Sean Dobie. The 24-hour punch people drive trying to take P26 over off of Dobie as they make the way onwards towards what will be the Stefan Beloff S themselves, the Flansgar and Zwei, and as they make the way on through, Dobie goes a bit deep there. Marshall close, but not close enough to really try to go for a move side by side if you dare to dream to do so through here. And now making their way in towards the left-hander of Schwalbenschon's corner, and well, the number 26 driver here trying to get the door number to match up position number very shortly as they head for the kind of carousel. However, David Biggerdine now getting close, but Marshall again a much better launch out of the supply carousel, and as a result looking up the inside here, and as they go into the right hand, well, it's not really a move that's on per se, but it does put Dobie out of position, and this sets up the move as they make the way out to Galmkopf and onto Dr. Ohio. But remember, this is an overtake that's come very early, and now you've got an incredibly long straight, and here comes David Bigadai, who's going to be looking on the outside. It pulls himself out of the toe. Meanwhile, from them, we do also have some further battles, including Corey Lazarus versus what is Jeremy DeBoer, with Lazarus having picked up that damage on the open lap coming out of Callan Hard corner, so it might be a weakened car, particularly with regards to aerodynamic damage. But as they make their way into the braking zone, no change between them. A bit further back, we've got the A-Tech racing pair, one from Cyan, one from Purple, and it's the Cyan driver Alistair Hatcher who still holds on to P20 overall ahead of Understone, and behind them, Casper Turnstead battling side by side here with Dirt Bouts. Up the inside he goes, in at 2 high rain corner, and he gets P23, what's P11 in the silver class. A nice move there for Casper Turnstead to hold the position on the overtake. The Danishman definitely getting his elbows out, and Ben Kirby just in front, eager to try and break away, but I think that's going to be easier said than done today as they make the way onto lap number 2. As they charge way on around here, meanwhile, we do take you through your top 10 after one lap. It's Paul Busby ahead of Philip Hammer, followed by Thomas Cope, then Nicholas Knoll, then Simon Bamber P5. Then you can see a little bit further back in the picture after Bamber, it's Tim Darracott P6, followed up by Nathan Foster P7. Thorsten Sever, your leader in the silver class, still leading and on course to pick up his first win of the silver class in the season, and his first win of his UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup career, P8, ahead of Oystein Hare for P9, and Corey Lazarus P10, and then you do have P11 Jeremy DeBoer, the second place silver driver, and meanwhile your bronze leader P18 is this man Charlie Max for Friends Racing by Connectors, who's still holding on quite comfortably at the front of the field as they make the way on around. As we show you the places gained overall between drivers here on the left hand side of the screen, we can confirm that David Bigadai has had to make a visit to the pits due to some damage picked up on the car, we do believe, but otherwise we do have all of our drivers still racing. All 32 starters are out there, which is great to see. After one lap of racing, there's still 1.5 laps to go for the leaders right now, 2 for the rest of the field. And as they make the way on around here, right now the biggest gainers at this start of this race really are Casper Turnstead, who's getting the best part of 6 places overall, 4 places in silver class. And meanwhile, the biggest loser at this start in terms of places is David Bigadai, who's lost 15 overall, and that equates to a grand total of 8 places lost in silver class after having to come into the pits. There's still plenty of racing to go before all is said and done in this first race today. Charlie Max under pressure from none other than Navarro DeBoer, as the younger member of the DeBoer family looking for a move. You can't quite find it at the moment, but we'll show you the class standings down the left hand side of your screen now to show you how they all fit together with all the points are scored. Will mean while we do look to Thomas Cope here, and right now Hammer, Cope and Knoll, they could not be closer. Paul Busby leading, but not really breaking away here, and the question is Busby just potentially metering his pace to the 3 behind, and therefore essentially just balancing that pace and making them push harder and harder every time they get close, or is he not able to break away here? We'll have to see. But right now, as we look back from the rear of the P2 car, the number 60 of Impulse Racing's Philip Hammer. That's Thomas Cope. You can see it loud and proud in the camera. And as they make the way on through right side and up towards what will be X-Miller very shortly, into the right hand they go here. We're getting very close now. It's Cope as they head up towards what will be Bergberg corner via the run of X-Town Lava Links and in towards that braking zone. And this could be where we see a battle on the run up towards the mid-curve corner. On they go, getting very close. There is Cope as he almost takes the camera off the rear bumper of Hammer's car, and as they make the way out to the right hander, well, Hammer gets the better run, but remember it is a long run here. It's the best part of a mile as they make the way up the hill more and more, and as they rise through the altitude here, the drivers are in the tow. They will gain a little bit as they head up and up and up. They go to the highest point in the circuit. 10 minutes to the race complete. Remember, we're doing this one by laps, and as they make the way in towards mid-curve corner, well, Cope's now bringing on strong. He's in top gear. They're all in 6th gear and getting ready to race, but who's it going to be? No way through for Cope, and it is made to wait as they come through the left-hander and onwards towards what will be the run of the hairpin known as Steel Striker corner as they make their way to the braking zone. Still the pressure is on from Cope versus Hammer and Nold behind here. The 3 of them separated by less than a second, but whilst this has been happening, we have had an incident further down the order involving Sean Cranley Swash, who dropped a long way down. In fact, dropped all the way down to P26. And what exactly happened, I hear you ask? Well, here's the replay to explain. So this was the 24-hour Punterfield drive making their way into Bergwerk Corner. Now, are they going to go wide here and onto the exit curb? Oh, they do indeed, and the rear of the car starts to become loose, and you'll notice that the car came off the curb. The rear drops really sharply, and just holding the brakes there and waiting for the whole field to come through. Great gentlemanly conduct there from Sean Cranny-Swash, and all the field reacting very well as well. So no major incident as such. Of course, you've got to feel for the 117 driver, but that's the way it goes at the Nürburgring, and now he's going to have to try and fight his way back, the Canadian, over the remainder of this race. But meanwhile, as we return to your live pictures, we do look to Casper Tunstead here, currently P10 in the silver class, chasing after Glenn Humberstone, albeit separating the two of them is Ben Kirby, the third place bronze driver, who separates the battle for P9 in the silver class. And right now, Tunstead are eager to make some more progress here with none other than Dirk Bowes eagerly behind as they make the way on down. Now on the descent, coming down from Hedwig's Herd very shortly, and as they begin that run on down here, you'll see that Tunstead's going to get closer and closer. But meanwhile, we've had drama, ladies and gents, with that short race leader from Effect Simulations. Look, Paul Busby gets the car off the road, and it's all gone wrong, and it's gone to tears on the 420 car from the United Kingdom as he just sits there and waits to go racing. But the question is, what exactly has happened to cause that? I believe that's on the run into, if it's not Flansgarden Irons, it's Flansgarden Zwei. In fact, that is Flansgarden Irons, giving the jump there. But what exactly happened to was Paul Busby? Well, here's the replay and the story with it. So making his way out of Ice Curve there and into Flansgarden Irons, and the rear of the car letting go immediately as he came on through. I think just a little bit too eager with the throttle and perhaps the steering angle, and the number 20 car in the end being reversed to the wall, and understandably he doesn't want to be in the way as all the other drivers coming through, with Nathan Foster almost careening his way into the 420 car. But that is a dramatic turn of events, ladies and gentlemen, and it now means that our top three, here they are, they're battling for the win of this race. It's Hammer versus Cope versus Nold, and it's a drag race down the Dottinger Highway for the penultimate time in this race. But keep in mind, they're going to have one more run of this, so whoever's leading after this run won't necessarily be leading come the end of the race here, as they all slipstream their way through, and nobody right now wants to go for the move. You can understand why, or will they here as Cope does edge out. He's going to look around the outside. Will they make the way under the Bilstein Bridge, and as they head in towards the left-hand kink, it's going to be Cope now. He'll be taking the inside line by the time they get the way in towards Tiergarten and then Horn Rain. Well, that'll be the target, but look at Hammer. Hammer comes back on strong. Cope tucks back in. Nold stays behind, but I can imagine when we come around one more time in the best part of the next 7 minutes, it's going to be elbows out completely, as meanwhile into the pits comes Nicholas Nold. He's in, and that's a surprise and not a welcome one to be sure. I'm not quite sure what the story behind that is, but I can tell you that's going to leave Hammer all by himself now to try and fend off Cope, and this could be a golden opportunity for Cope to once again snatch victory away as Nold through the pits. That's a drive-through penalty for Nicholas Nold, most likely for track limits then, and goodness me, well, that penalty coming in very late in the day and taking him all the way down the P5 behind Simon Bamber and Tim Darracott. But meanwhile, we do look to Roxanne Marshall still trying to battle with our drivers, including Marcel Fritsch in the fight for P12 in the silver cars as they make the way towards the end of the current lap and on to the next one. And as they do, we show you the standings now, back to overall standings here, as Marshall trying to make at least one more place before all is said and done. And as they head on towards what is Sabine Schmidt curve for the third and final time in round number 9, down into the brackets as they go into turn number 1, and making the way through the left and up towards turn number 2 they go. And as they do, Roxanne Marshall right now close, but just not able to find her way through as they make the way up towards what will be the run here for Hudson Buck. Going down the brakes, you can definitely see that Marshall right now having to steady the car and really temper the pace in terms of not getting too close, because if you get close early on in these tight corner sequences, you lose all the momentum going up towards Flugplatz. So right now Marshall getting closer and closer and getting ready to launch the car out here, but a bit too close again, making their way in towards the right into left there of Hohaken. And as a result, now you can see that gap opens back up. It's 2 attempts now, closing to 1.5 attempts. They make the way into the right for Flugplatz corner, but Marshall just needs to back up, get a nice early turn in, that mitigates the dirty air, and now on the run, this is where Marshall will have the speed, but can she find a way alongside as they make the way in towards what will be the run of Schweidenkreuz very shortly. You can see if Fritsch defends the inside, Marshall's going to go all the way around the outside. It's going to be side by side in the run, onto the rise they go and lift off, and Marshall does make it around the outside and takes P24 overall. That's P12 in the silver class there. Great battle in between the two of them, and Marshall with full commitment gets the job done there, but Marcel Fritsch was not going to make it easy, you can understand. But at the end of the day, both drivers showing great racing, and now Casper Tunstead only 4 attempts in front. I think Marshall's fancy at least one more place over the course of this lap, if not some more, with the fact then only a further 2 seconds on the road is Dirk Bowes. We'll have to wait and see if that does come to reality as they make the way into odd now forced, and it is going to be straight on there for what is Casper Tunstead, who takes the grass and safely negotiates the car back on, but will lose multiple places. And then in all of this, Dirt Bounce has run wide, and with that, Roxanne Marshall gains another 2 places. And goodness me, I only said moments ago, if they're able to catch up to Dirt Bounce, I think the commentator's curse is in full swing here, ladies and gentlemen, as Bounce now brings it back together behind Marcel Fritsch, albeit what exactly happened to the pair of them. Well, we saw what happened to Casper Tunstead, but not what happened to Dirt Bounce, and we do get a replay to explain what exactly happened to the Belgian driver. So going to run on through odd now forced and coming out to the right-hander here. Oh, goodness me, and well, that explains the story. We didn't see that. That was Alistair Hatcher losing a front bumper on the car, and what exactly triggered off that sequence of events with Dirt Bounce having to take evasive action. Here's the replay to explain. Well, that's actually getting it wrong then into the wall, and goodness me, that was, I believe, Ben Kirby careening into the side of Alistair Hatcher, able to carry on the spares by Connexus driver, but really the bad luck falling his way, and Dirt Bounce has had also to be towed to the pits after a further incident off camera. As we return to your live pictures, ladies and gentlemen, and we won't be able to get a replay of what's happened to Dirt Bounce very immediately after all of that, but what we will be able to do is bring you back to your live racing here for the battle for P4, and this is between Tim Darracott and Nicholas Nold, and Nold right now really trying to chase down Darracott, and then third place man Simon Bamber, who's just in front. You can see the UK sim racing car in the lime green machinery as they make the way on through the right-hander of Steel Strecker and onwards now towards the Caracola Carousel. Well, who out of these three will be taking that final spot on the podium? That'll be the challenge. Meanwhile, up front, the gap between Hammer and Cope has extended to 1.7 seconds. So Hammer has opened the gap up, and therefore he's looking at relatively safe. If he can get that gap up to 2 seconds, he will be safe on the slipstream down the Dotting Hoax. It does extend all the way up to 2 seconds, albeit it's very slight, but even the slightest of the toe down that straight will become gargantuan by the end of the run. And as they make the way on through here, well, that's Bamber making a mistake, coming through into the wall as they go into Hoax, and as they do, it's going to be Darracott through to P3. Bamber brings the car back together, but Nicholas Nold, here he comes, looking up the inside as they go to the right-hander, and Nold's not wasting any time. He knows there's a third place to grab here. He doesn't want to be denied his spot on the podium. He wants it. He thinks his name's on it, and go for it he goes as he makes his way through the right-hander here. Oh, that was Whipperman and into Iceback very shortly, but as they come on down right now, he's going to have to stay close to Simon Bamber and then have the drag race of all time as they make the way onto the Dottinger High in due course. But charging away on through right now, you can see Nold using all the track limits to his advantage here, pushing the car to its utmost in order to try and get as close as possible. But as we ride on board here with the 917 driver, bounces his way through, vision obscured of course by having a car in front, so he's got to do this on look and feel of the car now, and the feel of the circuit and muscle memory just as much as what his eyes tell him. And as he makes his way through Glansgarden, Irons now screaming on the tyres there as they make the way in towards Glansgarden Spike with Stefan Belafes. Downhill they go, and you can see they're running almost to the grass, the car bouncing around that dirty out, unsettling the front end as well, making understeer coming to plenty, but Nold's not backing out as they make the way in towards the Schwalbe and Schwans right into left sequence here. Wiper waving there to try and get some dove. The screen, but Darracott gets it wrong as they come through the right hand, very close there. Nold not able to try and get involved, but he's going to look up the inside here in towards the Skyline Carousel, or is he? No, he backs off. 9-2 does not go into one there, but where too wide will happen is on the run down the Dotting High, and Nold as close as he needs to be. He's going to back off shortly coming out of Goldenkopf in order to open up the gap and then have to run about halfway down the straight. That's the best time to take it. Not immediately, in fact the gap does open up to 2.5 temps, and Nold has set this up perfectly. In fact, he'll gradually gain now, and by the time they get to the Bilstein Bridge, that's where they're going to be almost side by side. In fact, Nold coming on strong here a bit earlier than we thought as they make the way on through, and as they do, it will mean, well, we're going to stay with this battle, ladies and gentlemen, because the leaders are clear of one another. We'll come to leaders right at the end, but Nold and Darracott side by side, and they're going to make the way across the rise and down very shortly, and as they do, well, meanwhile, we do have to cut to your leader here, ladies and gentlemen, because the Czech of Lag gets ready to wave, and it's been a dominant drive, and it's been a very collected drive at that, and after a long hiatus on the top step, he's going to return to it, and what best place to do so? Philip Hammer is your winner in the round 9 heat at the Nürburgring Nordschleife for Impulse Racing by 2.1 seconds over Thomas Cope for Olympus XGD6, and in the battle of Darracott versus Nold, it's going to be Darracott who holds on the end to P3 ahead of Nold, and that is your podium complete. Simon Bamber P5 ahead of Oystein Hereford and Nathan Foster as they come across the line there in their own battle. But look at this, he finally takes his first silver win of the season in his career. Ring for Sim Racing's Forsten Smith is your silver winner, P8, ahead of Corey Lazarus and Paul Busby to complete your top 10. Jeremy DeBova P2 silver, P11 overall ahead of Lucas Romano, who rounds off the silver podium, and Matt Strand comes on through to P13. Then lucky for some, but lucky for him, and Charlie Max will make it another win here. P16 overall for Friends Racing by Connect says, but it's another bronze win for the 621 Driving Championship leader, and Ben Kirby battling here with Casper Tunstead all the way, and in the end find his way on through by looks things in terms of defending versus Tunstead as they make their way out the final corner. And Ben Kirby coming across the line, and that will be second place in the bronze class ahead of what is Casper Tunstead, P9 silver overall. And in your third place bronze finisher will shortly be, ladies and gentlemen, as he makes his way on through. Roxanne Marshall's just crossed the line as I'm hearing it in my ear, but Sean Dobie, the Scotsman, will be your third place driver on that bronze podium, P24 overall. Give a round of applause for the Clicks Racing Drive. Indeed, for all of them, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a spectacular first race of the day. I don't think we can deny that. And as they all come to a close now, Craig Shield will then be coming on through P25. A tough race for the bronze driver, particularly those late instants cost him quite dear, but still a P4 in class. That's worth a lot of weight in terms of points. And as he comes on through P25 overall, Mark Cadmore just behind to take his first top 5 of the season in the bronze class, I do believe, in the Rexy privateer machine. And then Stephen Ray coming on around here through the right into left, where it's going to be a very short run here for the 24-hour Punty People driver, but he's about to make his way to the line in the number 97. And well, that will be P6 in the bronze class, just missing out on the top 5, but still he'll be happy to take that 6th place finish. And well, then our last driver to finish this race, ladies and gentlemen, will be at Fine Lau, albeit they are currently making the way on down what is the run, or the run through Flansgarden Zwei and up towards what will be at the Schwann's corner, with at the Schoenenkreuz corner, to get the two of them mixed up there, getting my S's in the wrong order. And as the Hong Kong driver makes his way on through the Kleiner Carousel, we'll catch him as he makes his way to the line very shortly. In fact, we're going to stay with him all the way, but as he does so, we do look to the chat there and we can see a number of you are talking about incidents that have occurred on the very end of the race, and we do have quite a few of them to try and take a look back at, and I believe we will be able to take a look back at what happens to DDD Verlaming on the final lap with the time we have remaining. And this was for the DVR driver coming into Brunschen corner and making his way out of the right-hander, and the rear of the car going loose there on the exit curve and riding that curve high whilst trying to get the pad down with some steering angle, and it's a fatal combination. It puts the Belgian right to the wall, and that explains what happened to him, and then having to be towed to the pit shortly after. And well, after that, ladies and gentlemen, we did also have a bit of an incident for what was Mark Cadmore, and this was on the run, I do believe, onto what was a Bergvert corner. Went out of the corner, losing at the rear of the car. But meanwhile, we must return to our live pictures, ladies and gentlemen, because here's your final finisher of our first race today. And give him a round of applause in his debut. He's made it on home to come home in what is P7 in the bronze class. He'll be getting his first ever points in the bronze class as well. It's Fai Lau who finishes at P28. 32 starters, 28 finishers on the lead lap. And when we now have 2 minutes before we go racing once again, and that's a good 2 minutes for us to take you through the results, provisional results, of course, subject to any stewards' inquiries from race number 1. So as we can see, after 3 laps of race, our first race today, round number 9, it was Impulse Racing's Philip Hammer who returns victoriously to the top step of the podium ahead of Thomas Cope, P2 for Olympus X GRDC, and Effect Simulations Tim Darracott rounding off the podium. Nicholas Nold, unfortunate to miss out on the 3rd place spot in the end, but battling with Effect Simulations Darracott and couldn't quite find his way through. The Impulse Racing driver will take P4 ahead of Simon Bamber, with Oystein Hereford missing out on the top 5, P6 ahead of Nathan Foster, and then Forsten Sever taking his first ever silver class win, the Ring for Sim Racing driver P8 then, his best performance of the season, ahead of Corey Lazarus and Paul Busby around off your top 10. Jeremy DeBoer P11, runner-up in the silver class for DBR, best race ahead of Lucas Romano who completed the silver podium, and then as we can see Matt Strand ahead of Nicholas Grunstrom and Gus Franken, with then Charlie Max P16 for Friends Racing by Connexus adding another win to his tally, and that championship campaign coming on stronger and stronger by the day, then complete completing your top 20, Glenn Humberstone, Navarro de Bova, Ben Kirby and Casper Tunstead. Marcel Fritsch P21 ahead of Sean Cranley Swash, with Roxanne Marshall and Sean Dobie completing the run through P24, and Sean Dobie completing that bronze podium of Charlie Max, Ben Kirby and himself, ahead of Craig Schill, just missing out on the bronze podium there, but P4 in the class, ahead of Mark Cadmore and Stephen Ray, with Didi Valamic P28 as classified in fact there. So it does mean Filau will be classified a bit further down. In fact, Dirtbout's classified P29 ahead of Filau P30, and then Alistair Hatcher finishing a lap down P31, and David Bigadite the same there, P32. But that's how they finish in our first race of the day. But as we look back up to the top 10 of the standings, ladies and gentlemen, your top 10 of course being your reverse grid, so it will be Paul Busby on pole for our second race of the day, and we are now only moments away from going racing once again. And as we do, well, goodness me, it is going to be a sight to behold when we do go racing a second time. It will be a Busby pole position once again, but will he be able to bring it on home and take victory? Well, let's find out as it's time for round number 10. So as our drivers make their way to the grid for the second time of asking, this is how they line up. It's Paul Busby who takes pole position for Effect Simulations, joined on the front row by Corey Lazarus of Blackout Motorsport OPR. Behind him on row number 2, it's Silver Pole sitter Forsten Svet for Ring Physiat Sim Racing, joined there by Nathan Foster for Empire Motorsport, and then Oystein Hereford for Olympus X Geodesic and Simon C. Bamber make up your third row, with the UK Sim Racing admin team driver being followed up by Nicholas Knoll for Impulse Racing. Joining Nicholas Knoll on the fourth row, it is Effect Simulations Tim Darracott, and on row number 5 to complete the top 10 is Thomas Cope for Olympus X Geodesic and Impulse Racing's Philip Hammer. Row number 6 will go to Jeremy DeBoer for DBR and RPM's Lucas Romano. And then on row number 7, it will be the pair of Matt Strand for Race Lab Esports and Nicholas Grunstrom for Beak Sim Racing. And then Gus Franken starts P15 for RPM on the 8th row of the grid, joined by Charlie Max for Friends Racing by Connexus. He'll be your bronze pole sitter. Glenn Humberstone and Navarro DeBoer on row number 9. And then row 10 goes to Ben Kirby and Casper Tunstead. But it's time for lights, ladies and gentlemen. And here they come once again. It's 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the second time today. And now 4 laps of racing to go, and Busby gets a good start, but Forster Sven looking around the outside immediately of Corey Lazarus into turn number 1. He can't quite make it happen as they make the way out to the Schmidt curve. They all roar their way on down now and going into the opening couple of corners now. They want to be going line at stern before you know it here. No, there's no real place to overtake through Hudson Back corner as they head in towards the corner sequence, and onwards they charge now as they make the way onto the Nürburgring circuit. As they head on through here, everybody close together. Everyone's had a safe start. We look towards the back of the field. David Bigadite and Alistair Hatcher sharing some real estate as they make their way for Hudson Back themselves. They fight for P31. They've got a long way to go, but to be fair, they'll be enjoying that battle all the same. And as we look back up towards the bottom end of the top 10, that's Tim Darracott. You can see there in the distant picture. He has been passed by Thomas Cope in the run through the opening couple of corners. Cope already on the charge, looking for a move on Simon Bamber in 2 flug flats, but he can't quite find it as they make the way for the flat-out right-hander. Cold tyres here, of course, prevalent in the early stage of this race and could cause the cars need to lift a little bit. And as they head all the way through, and now up towards the Schwedenkreuz corner, on that charge they go, and well, we do have multiple 2 wide starting to play out here with Foster Svet under pressure from Nathan Foster. Foster looking around the outside, that's very risky for Foster, but he's going to the inside as they make their way into Arenberg corner as he knows Svet holds him at bay, and meanwhile Nicholas Knowles looking for the move and return. Oystein Hereford couldn't quite find it as they make the way now downhill they go towards the compression. We look back from the rear of the number 76 car, P3 overall driver here as they charge the way on through. We have had an instant for Sean Dobie off camera. We'll try and get a replay of what's happened there very shortly, and also for David Bigadite it's been an instant, but right now it's stayed with this battle for the final overall podium spot on this opening lap of 4 as they make their way for Ardenau Force and see Svet under pressure from the Empire Motorsport car, Nathan Foster, who is knocking and calling for that position, but right now Svet not responding and just simply holding his line as he's allowed to do so here as they make their way in towards Metzgertsfeld, but as they head in towards the next corner here, meanwhile it is going to be Oystein Hereford having to go defensive versus Simon Bamber, with Bamber looking for the move on Hereford, can't quite find it. The UK Sim Racing admin team driver sliding there as he makes his way down towards Carlisle corner, coming off Cope, bit of contact there between the two of them almost, it would seem as they both peeled out, and meanwhile we've had a bit of an instant for one driver just in front, and I believe that might have been a scrape with the wall there for Nicholas Knoll unless I'm mistaken, but as they come through the right-hander, drive ranks of the 3 right-handers we could say. Knoll definitely going a bit slowly here. Nathan Foster looking to try and then going through. In fact, that's Nold on the offensive. Nold's going for P4. We should correct ourselves with Nathan Foster making the error, coming out to Calenhard. It was a brush with the wall, and the number 917 driver gains the place up to P4. And right now, the German driver is going to try and find his way past his fellow countryman. That battle for P3. And will there be an exchange, or will Severe dig in? Will they make the way up towards X-Muller? And as they do, no way through still. As you can see, they all charge up through the car, sliding around. Nold's going to be on the inside, however, they make the way for X-Tor and into Lauder Links. And as they come in towards the left-hand kink before Bergwerk Cordy, you can see there as well Thomas Coe battling side by side with what is, I do believe, Simon Bamber looking around the outside. It's gone very wrong for Bamber, and also there, what is, I do believe, Oisin Hare for being collected by a lock-up with Bamber. I think there was a little bit of contact beforehand, but both drivers going on, and that's going to be one we'll definitely need to take a look back at when we look back at the open lap instance. We'll promise you we'll bring you them all, ladies and gentlemen. And meanwhile, as Lucas Sparlow picks his way on past Oisin Hare for now to P11 overall. He's still P3 in the silver class, no gain or loss at the start in terms of class position. But meanwhile, further on down the order, one driver right now really finding the feel for the rhythm of the car and the circuit. 23 round punch Roxanne Marshall gaining more places, already 4 gained in the silver class, 2 overall. And Marshall right now on a mission here to overtake Marcel Fritsch, going in to what will be Matt Curve. A little bit of contact there, I think Netco contact between them, but they negotiate it in the end. And as they do, Roxanne Marshall gaining another place as they come through the left hand, and onwards they go towards what will be at the steel striker hairpin. As they do, Marshall again in the places, really picking up the momentum. Meanwhile, Dirt Bounce under a bit of pressure here to push on with Sean Dobie at 3 seconds behind. But meanwhile, we've got a car running wide. That's Marcel Fritsch, who's found a way to the barrier on the outside of Steel Striker, and Bounce and what is Humberstone are going to make the way on through. Fritsch on the inside. As they come through, Bounce is going to have to go high here. He can't go low. And initially, and as a result, that will be that Marcel Fritsch retains the position, and Bounce there, almost giving the elbow out, if you will. I've not quite seen a battle like that before going on through the carousel, but still, you have a time. It's the first time for everything. And Dirt Bounce, I think, will be a little bit frustrated at that one. As meanwhile, DDD Belaming here now tries to chase after Gus Franken, but he does have Glenn Humberstone for company immediately behind him. And the battle to be inside the top 10 of the silver class, it could not be closer right now, because they're all fighting effectively over P10 as held by Gus Franken. And then Roxanne Marshall is the best part of 2 seconds further up the road as they begin the downhill descent. And meanwhile, we look from there back up in to what is your leader here, Paul Busby, as he makes his way on around through the corner that claimed him in race number 1, coming out to Iceberg and now down through Flansgarden Irons he goes. And as he does so, meanwhile, Nicholas Knoll a further 2.3 seconds back with Corey Lazarus P3, and Nicholas Knoll gaining more places in fact over Lazarus, and also Forsten Svet made the move on Svet going into Bergwerk, but then Lazarus was lost out. I think there's been a mistake for the New Zealander driver, and as a result, the German driver right now moving up into P2. Forsten Svet still P4, then losing 1 place to Lazarus, but in return right now, in fact, I think Lazarus has found his way past Forsten Svet. Let's correct ourselves here. Lazarus was behind as we get ourselves set straight in terms of memory, and as they make the way out to a Schwab the Schwans, well, Corey Lazarus on a mission for P3 overall, and who can blame him? We want to see him back on the podium at some point. He has been a podium finisher multiple times in the past, and Forsten Svet right now comfortably leading the silver class by the best part of 5 places over Jeremy DeBova, but also being eager to take an overall top 5, which will be a huge feather in his cap come the end of the racing today, and with only 3 rounds to go after this race. As they make the way up through the long right-hander and onwards towards the Dottinger, charging away on through, and on that back straight they go. Right now, everyone in the tow. Thomas Cope getting closer and closer to Nathan Foster, and you can imagine there might be a bit of a move coming, given the fact he won't want to be behind Foster for too long, as otherwise he will start to lose momentum potentially to the leaders, particularly thinking about Nold and Busby. But as they head on down here, the key thing for Cope right now is he is ahead of Philip Hammer, so therefore he will be neutralising the points gained by Hammer in the heat race if he finishes ahead of Hammer in this feature race, given the feature is worth more. But as they come down 2 by 2 they go. Let's go to be side by side between Severe and Lazarus. Lazarus not able to find a way through. Cope meanwhile still tucked in behind, but gets ahead of Foster. That's a key overtake there for the Englishman as they head around the right into left, coming out to Hohen Rain and into the final corner they go. And well, as they do so after 1 lap of racing, it's not over yet, because Cope right now on the attack here as he looks to try and attack Lazarus from what is that battle for P4. Coming out left-hander, can't quite find the move at this time around, but what we can find in the meantime is a replay of some of the incidents at the start of the race, including what happened to David Biggerdike at the start, and this was towards the early stage of lap number 1, the 222 driver making his way on through the right into left, and well, it looks as though there, Feilauer had quite a poor run off the corner. Stephen Ray perhaps may have also been involved in that as well, and Biggerdike, and what was, I do believe, as to actually getting caught up in that, and it all went wrong together. We then had an instant for Sean Doby as he made his way into the braking zone here for Arenberg corner. A lock-up that sent him very deep and long onto the gravel, and that enabled Roxanne Marshall to come on through. And then a little bit later on, we did have a major incident for Simon Bamber, and what was hit Oisin Hereford. Now this one's an interesting one to unpick. Bamber on the inside and locks up there under braking, and Hereford had nowhere to go at that point. So the UK Sim Racing admin team driver just getting it wrong on the braking, Oisin Hereford in the wrong time and the right place in order to be caught up with that. And then we did have an incident for Marcel Fritsch a little bit later on as well. And this was the run up towards what was, I do believe, still Strecker into the braking zone. Went a bit too long on the brakes and in to the wall, and indeed a difficult one, that one, but you'll have to recover from that. And we'll start in an instant for Glenn Humberstone on the opening lap, and this was coming in towards Brunschen corner. The 888 Racing Purple driver comes on through. Is it going to be a run out wide? No, it's not. The rear of the car letting go early and then having to stop the car. And, well, Humberstone pointing the wrong way. Mark Cadwell comes out of the corner and into the wall, repeats the same thing and parks up alongside there. Albeit a little bit of a love tap between the two cars, but Cadwell having to be towed, and Humberstone, I believe, also having to limp the car back to the pits. In fact, getting it towed right towards the end of the lap. So we return to your live pictures, ladies and gentlemen. As we do, we have had an incident for Corey Lazarus recently that has taken him a long way down the order. In fact, Corey Lazarus had to be towed to the pits. But before we come to what happened to Corey Lazarus with regards to that incident, let's take a look back at one of the more positive moments of Corey Lazarus, which was his battle for P3. And I do believe this was the battle between Forsten Svet and Lazarus. This was the run down the back straight, and well, it was Forsten Svet actually on the offensive here, trying to take the place back on what was Corey Lazarus. They made the way on down, side by side they went. And the end of lap number 1, and that's how Forsten Svet took the place, and then it went wrong for Corey Lazarus on lap number 2, and this is what's led to Corey Lazarus ending up in, oh goodness me, and well that is a hugely dramatic turn of events there, and we're glad we spotted this in the simple fact that is Thomas Cope collected in that instant, and what exactly set that off? That is the big question that we've got to answer here, because I believe Thomas Cope got caught up in that, so did many a driver. And when we take a look from Thomas Cope's perspective, battling here, Lazarus comes across, and well, Cope I think trying to get his nose in, but the bow tries being collected, Cope to the wall, and well, goodness me, now that could be a season-defining moment there, ladies and gentlemen, because that is going to blunt Cope's momentum in its entirety. We had the best camera was available for him, but we're not going to be cutting away anymore for some time for replay footage, because we appreciate that we've also got a lot of live racing to bring to you, as well as replay footage. And as our drivers make the way around on this lap number 2, we've had a shake-up in the order as the racing continues here at the Nürburgring. And well, looking from Thomas Cope to Forsten Svet right now, being attacked by none other than Nathan Foster up the inside. He goes to the curve corner, so that has to lift out, and as a result that's going to give Darragh all the momentum he needs. It's also going to be Hammer here who looks to try and find a way on through, and as they make the way in towards what will be still Stracker corner, onto the brakes they go. And into the right-hander. Well, right now, can it be an opportunity for Svet to come back on through? Again, he doesn't need to gamble on battling with the gold drivers. The man he's got to worry about, you can see in the rear of the camera, that's Jeremy DeBova, who is your championship leader in the silver class for DBR, and right now looking at P2 in the class. But well, as soon as I say that, I think we have had a bit of a moment occur for a driver. We've got some smoke up there, plus time marks going towards the wall, and who exactly has got it wrong? I think that might be Nathan Foster, who's had a bit of a brush with the wall coming out of the carousel. And well, as we do, it is Nathan Foster. We can confirm he's dropped multiple places. He's dropped right behind Forsten Svet and in front of Simon Bamber now. And it was, they make the way on down on the drop and the run down the hills they go. We're going all the way through the corner sequences here, starting with the Whitman into Iceback corner sequence, and it will be at Brunchen shortly after. Well, these drivers right now definitely pushing to the utmost, but pushing so hard that in fact the mistakes are now starting to be made. You can forgive them at the highest level of this competition. Mistakes will be made when you're racing this hard of Vars, but right now Nathan Foster definitely in the hot seat, and well, the car back together. Whatever brush he's had with the wall, it's not been too serious of one, so he's putting the pressure there on Forsten Svet, and meanwhile he's got Simon Bamber waiting in the wings trying to look for a move on him. We look back from the rear of the number 52 Empire Motorsport, and as they head on down through Flanders Garden Irons here, you can see Bamber backing off slightly, trying to give himself some breathing room, give himself some visibility over the jump, where he makes his way into the Stefan Belloff S, and as they head charging on down even further still, this is where the momentum really picks up here with the run of the gradient and the flow of the circuit. You can see Foster more comfortable initially, but as he does, oh my good lord, and that was very close as they come on through, and you see Thomas Cope there having to react, and my good lord, how on earth they've been able to keep it together. That I thought that was going to be tears in excess of 150 miles an hour coming down from the Stefan Belloff S, but they've made it through Schrabentrons, and well, Bamba has got ahead, but right now we're going to take a look back at that, ladies and gentlemen. Hold your breath, but I'm going to tell you one thing, this is not for the faint-hearted. Was they made the way through, Foster's having a bit of a poor run there, and will Foster getting offline and going slow, and Bamba just committing. I mean, goodness me, that is bravery from the 912 driver, just deciding to fully commit to that run down the hill. And here's the exterior replay, as you can see there, Foster hitting the apex curve way too high, unsettles the car. Foster manages to rejoin between Bamba and Cope as well. Cope out of sorts. I think they were all on the ragged edge of adhesion there, and they've all been able to stay glued to the tarmac. But my goodness, if that's what lap number 2 is going to bring, I can only imagine what we've got in store come the last 2 laps of this race. Speaking of which, we're heading on to them, and meanwhile Philip Hammer under pressure in the battle for P3 from Tim Darracott as they come down towards Tiergarten and Hohenrhein, and in towards the right, left, right they go, and as they do, Nicholas Nolte sets the fastest lap of the race at 6:37.475, which does put him within half a second of Paul Busby, your race leader. So Nolte really coming on strong and trying to right the wrongs of race number 1. Busby trying to do the same, of course. As they come out of turn number 1 here, Hammer and Darracott right now, nothing between the two of them as they roar their way on through it, and the same can be said for Gus Franken and Dirk Bounce, as we do see here the RPM driver chased after the DPR driver from 2 sister teams, one big family the 2 teams are, as I'm to understand it. And right now Gus Franken just not able to find a way through and having to wait as they make the way on through, and up towards turn number 1 they go once again. But as they do, on to lap number 3. And meanwhile, we do have Corey Lazarus in the pit lane after that tow from the instant with Thomas Cope. And well, unfortunately for Lazarus, the car in a condition where it could not carry on racing. Cope able to limp on, and well, the mixed fortunes there for the 2 drivers. But from them, this is a man who's continued to make his way further up the order, now up into P13 overall. It's Charlie Max, as we see that Casper Tunstedt going quite slowly. Nicholas Grunstrom making an overtake there. The Swede getting up the inside of his fellow Scandinavian in the form of the Danishman of what is Tunstedt. But as they head on to the run towards Flugplatz, it's going to be side by side here. Which is out of position as he made his way onto the run, and as they come up the rise, but it's going to be on the inside. That is very, very close. That's cutting it fine. I think Grunstrom won't be too happy about the fact that he had to take all the apex curve down and settle the car, but Tunstedt fully committed and not backing out. Now that was a move which essentially said, look, I'm not backing out, you're going to have to. And to be fair, Tunstedt knowing exactly how much room to give his rival, to give Grunstrom the opportunity to make that decision before they both ended up off the circuit. But Tunstedt not pulling any punches in that run for a P5 finish in the silver class. Speaking of classes, let's show those class standings on the left hand side of your screen. And as you can see right now, in the lead of the gold class it's Paul Busby, but only by 2 tenths ahead of Nicholas Nolte. Me on the silver class, it's Foster Svet ahead of Jeremy DeVoe by 5.5 seconds. In the bronze class by 12.9 seconds, it's Charlie Max over Ben Kirby. But we look to your gold leaders here, ladies and gentlemen, as they come on down through the right hand of Callan Hard and onwards towards the chicane sequence they go of what is here the Spiegel curve, and then into Drive at Rex. And as they do, we can see that Nolte really now started to get eager. I think he can taste that win, and if he can find a way to get alongside and make the move count before they do get to Dottingham, and if he can break away as well, then he'll be well on course for victory. But Busby's not going to just roll over and let this go. You can be certain that from the 420 driver. He's a racer at heart, and as they make the way in towards Brightside, there's a long way to go in this race. There's one more lap after this one, and well, when the lap's the best part of 6.5 minutes plus, it's a long story which is unfolding on your screen as they head onwards towards Bergwerk. Meanwhile, we look back from them to Simon Bambo, still chasing after that P5 overall, held by Foster Svet, the UK Sim Racing Admin team driver here, all over the back of his rival. But the problem is he can get close, but he can't find a way through. He's got Thomas Cope starting to get closer, as meanwhile, looking back here to the battle for P5 in the silver class, that's Sean Cranny Swash, who's just found his way on past on the exit of their siphon versus Casper Tunstedt, and Nicholas Grunstrom has come through as well. I wonder if Tunstedt perhaps locked up into the hairpin. We'll hold that thought for a second, as meanwhile at the front of the field, this is Busby versus Nolte. Nolte really trying to tease out the move. They're trying to get his nose alongside in towards mid-curve, but keep an eye on, of course, that'll put him on the outside, and that's not where you really want to be unless you can get a nose ahead before the corner. So instead, having to back out there and wait his turn. Meanwhile, from there, Bamba versus Svet as they head on through the right-hander, and now in towards mid-curve they go, and as they do, Bamba gets ahead, Svet backing off there, and respecting the fact they're in two different races in terms of classes, they don't need to fight one another. Very intelligent racing there from the silver leader, it must be said. And then Lucas Romano and Jeremy Doe swapping places as Romano takes Peter in the silver class. I think he fancies his chances of chasing it down West Forces Svet on that final lap, albeit gaining 10 seconds on a single lap. That might be a little bit of optimism, but still you've got to be optimistic in order to be a winner in races. They say never give up until the checkered flag. But as we do see the Belgian driver here making his way away from his fellow countrymen, we could also have a little bit of battle between them. Remember, they are the top two in the championship, over ahead of Romano by 7 points going into tonight. So therefore some key points to be gained. But meanwhile, we've had a further incident for Casper Tunstead. There's something definitely wrong with that car. As meanwhile, Roxanne Marshall putting the pressure on Navarro de Boven for P7 in the silver class now. And as they come on through the carousel and almost they go towards Boston 147, we have an opportunity to take a look back at what exactly has happened to Casper Tunstead when firstly he was passed by Sean Kranich-Swash and Nicholas Grunstraub. Oh, goodness me, and that explains the entire story. We thought there might have been a lock-up into their side, and it was a lock-up for Casper Tunstead, and it was straight to the entry barrier there, and then subsequently a further off-track. Here's the replay as they made their way up into what was Steel Striker, and once again just going straight on there, and I think the brakes of Tunstead's car just not in a happy place, nor the tyres, and well, not as big of a shunt to the wall, but definitely right now a bit of paranoia sinking in as a driver for Tunstead. He's going to try and shake off that paranoia, which is the car's not going to stop him. I put the brakes on, and well, it does get in your head very easily, and it's just as much a psychological game in this Porsche Cup cars in having the confidence in the car time and time again, as we return to the battle for P7 in the silver class between Navarro de Boven, we should say, and Roxanne Marshall as they made the way out of Brunchen and on the run for left hand of Ice Curve, and down they go through Flansgarden, and as they do, Marshall too close for comfort there and having to back the car off, but almost losing the rear in the process, such as you've got to keep the throttle absolutely glued to the floor in order to keep these cars stable. What the rear engine rear wheel drive with the engine being over the rear axle of the car, and therefore when you put the throttle down, all the weight is being pushed downwards on the rear axle as they make the way on down through Flansgarden Zwei and charging the way they go. Roxanne Marshall here trying to come back on strong in at the late stage of this lap to go on to the final lap, but between them and the two drivers who lead the field onto that final lap very shortly, right now it's Busby versus Nicholas Nald. And well, ladies and gentlemen, as they make their way towards the final lap, we would like to take this moment to say to you that the voting for your driver of the day is now open, and we'll put the voting link in the Twitch chat very shortly, as we do see the battle here between Nold and Busby, and Nold does get ahead on the drag race down, so Busby letting the place go, but now his target will be to stay close all the way through this final lap. But coming back to our point of conversation, the voting for your driver of the day is now available. Use the link in the Twitch chat, and well, it's a simple Google form, only 3 clicks, and you can submit your driver of the day, and do let us know who it is. Votes close as of midnight tonight. That's Greenwich Mean Time or Universal Coordinate Time, UTC or GMT. And we should tell you, we didn't tell you in qualifying, but we will tell you now, the driver of the day from last round, the last pair of rounds at what was Motorland Aragon. Well, in fact, it wasn't Motorland Aragon, it was Bathurst. Let's correct ourselves there. It was a 3-way tie between Casper Tunstead, Thomas Cope and Charlie Max. All 3 drivers getting 20% of the vote each, and well, I think they'll all be pleased to have picked up that accolade. But do let us know who your driver of the day is. It's not worth any points in the championship to any drivers, but it always gives them a little bit of a psychological boost going in to the next round. And we'll announce the driver of the day from what is today's rounds 9 and 10, during won't announce it during the qualifying session of rounds 11 and 12 next week, but if not, we will promise you it will be covered at some point in the broadcast. But meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, as we make our way onto this final lap, will Busby starting to pull away from Nicholas Nold, with Nold making the pass on the Dottinger Hummer, and right now Busby just trying to stay within arm's reach for a return counter-attack on the same straight on this final lap. But from then, we have had an incident for what is Navarro de Boven, who's dropped down now to P8 in the silver class, and he's ahead of Casper Tunstead, who's putting the pressure on. But the question is, how exactly did Navarro de Boven lose out in the run? Well, we will give you a replay of that very shortly, but right now, let's focus on the here and now, and as Casper Tunstead Navarro over in the exchange here for P8. Both drivers have had mistakes, have had moves that cost them and multiple places. You see the car leaping there. It takes a very tight entry line. You're not offset the dirt here, but that will cost a bit of apex speed. But the nice thing about Tunstead now is he's got himself right and firmly in the toe of Navarro's car. That's going to bring them in 2 tenths as they made the way on through the left-hand king there of Postbrooker. And not Postbrooker, I should say, it should be Cottonborn. And as they made the way through the runner shortly before it's in towards Ehrenberg, onto the brakes they go through the right-hander, and as they do, now for Navarro, it's all about just simply making the car as wide as possible and not losing this place right in the late stages of the race as they power their way on down the hill in towards the compression now by Postbrooker. We get it right this time, and as they roar their way on the score down here, no way through the Tunstead, he's being made to wait his turn, and Will Harrington to play the game of patience here as the tyres screech and they make the way through. But Navarro getting it wrong there as they come into Ardnau Force. It's a straight line run, it's a lock up with it, and as a result, Casper Tunstead will squeeze on through here, and Navarro very close behind, trying to get back alongside before they're going to Metzgetsfeld. He will have the overspeed, a bit more contact between them. It's going to be side by side coming in here, and Navarro is not going to back off. He's going on the inside, and with that, Tunstead has to back off, and Navarro takes the place back, and it's a lovely return move there, albeit with a degree of contact, but still they keep it clean as much as they possibly can as they come down towards Callan Hard corner. Well, the closest battle on circuit right now is this pair, so if you don't mind us, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stay with them for a little bit longer as they make the way on through the chicane of Spiegel curve and now into Drive Out Rex, the triple right-hander. Dirt bounce within 1.7 seconds of this now, so he's getting closer to this battle, and it could be a freeway fight from P8 through to P10 in the silver class before all is said and done, or what is P17 through to P19 overall. But as they make the way out of their siphon and into Brideside, meanwhile from them we look to Thomas Cope, who is being chased after by Nathan Foster as they come out of Bergberg, and this is the battle for P6 gold, P7 overall. The next driver out the field is Silver leader Forster Svet, who is 6 seconds clear and feeling safe. So therefore right now Cope really having to do damage limitation here in what will arguably his weakest performance of the season so far, and well, it's a difficult thing to say that given the fact he really has been a constant driver inside the podium places, but this is going to be the first time this season where we don't see Thomas Cope on the podium in both the heat and the feature when we do have a double header round. And as they make the way over the rise here and heading in towards when it's still striking corner, well, right now Foster eager to try and gain one more place, but I don't think he's got enough at this point. Let's see him get towards on the end of the lap, as meanwhile Roxanne Marshall trying to gain another place here as they head through Mut curve. As they come through a left-hander, will Marshall close, but not quite able to get in the hunt there just yet. We jump aboard with the number 26 driver as they make the way in to Still Strecker, and as they head in towards the right-hander, it's going to be a run deep there for Grunstrom. Marshall's going to look on the inside, but it's a very tight exit, and as a result can't quite find a way up against the big sim racing driver, but looking at now to try and make a mistake occur in towards the carousel. Grunstrom gets some stops in time. Marshall has to tuck back in, but bleeding the speed there on the apex now, powering on through, building up the momentum here, looking towards Boston 147 they go. Marshall thinking about it, but there's no way through versus the 999 driver as they head uphill even more, heading to Hedwig's Hole very shortly by Oaxton as they make the way in towards the right-hander here. Right now Grunstrom is holding on enough for now, but meanwhile from these guys we do need to take a look back at the battle for what was P17 overall, because we did have a fight between Navarro and Casper Tunstead and what was, I do believe, Dirt Bouts. And this is what started it off, the battle between Navarro on the counter-attack in to Metzgetsfeld. But then later on in the run up towards Metzgetsfeld corner, what we did see, it was Casper Tunstead getting closer and closer. Navarro going defensive. Casper Tunstead looking around the outside. He's going to be made to go high here, surely. Well, it is a bit censored there by what is the billboard, but you can fill in the blanks, which is Casper Tunstead being essentially made to go higher and try it on the outside, and that has left him to lose a place to Dirt Bounce. But meanwhile, we do look back to your live pictures, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Busby versus Nold, and they've changed places in amongst the replay we've just had, and they're making their way onto the dotting high, so I have to forget the replay now, as I believe it may be a tactical switch of positions for Nold, and as they charge their way down the dotting high, can Busby hold on to take his first win on his debut in this season? Could we see Nold hold on to take the win, and it will be his first win of the season? Both of them could be first time winners, but which one of them will it be as they make the way on the charge Swash over the rise, and down they go. And as they do here, well, right now Nolder's got back ahead, but Busby's tucked in behind once more. He's having one last run at this, there's no doubt about it. But can he find it as they make their way through Tiergarten and into Home Rain? Well, Noel's just simply putting the car in the right places. They're keeping it tight on the inside line from corner to corner. And as they make the way through the last couple of corners, one more turn remains. They'll make the way through it very shortly. And as he comes out the final corner, it's going to be a first-time win for Nicholas Nold from Impulse Racing. He takes the checker flag, and it's back-to-back wins for Impulse Racing today ahead of Paul Busby P2 for Effect Simulations. And then it will be third place, Philip Hammer, to make it a 1-3 for Impulse Racing. Huge points for the team and the championship contenders today. And Tim Darracott P4 for Effect Simulations ahead of Simon Bamber P6. Forster Svet holds on to make it back-to-back wins in the silver class P6 overall ahead of Thomas Cope, who today has been damage limitation in his second race, P7 ahead of Oystein Hereford and Nathan Foster. It will be Lucas Romano, runner-up in the silver class, P10 overall ahead of title rival Jeremy DeBola, who rounds off the silver podium, P11. Nat Strand comes on through to take another top 5, P4 silver, P12 overall, and then it will be Charlie Max who makes it 2 bronze wins out of 2 for Friends Racing by Connexus today, P13. A stellar job done there by the 621 driver, with Nicholas Gronstrom holding off Roxanne Marshall to the line, and then at Dirt Bounce here just ahead of Casper Tunstead and DDD Belaming, P16 through to P18 for the trio. Navarro DeBova P19 as he comes across the line, and it'll be Gus Franklin who completes your top 20, I do believe. With Ben Kirby coming on through, P21, a runner-up in the bronze class here, is the All Spares by Connexus driver ahead of Marcel Fritz. You see crossing the line in the rear of your picture, and then Alistair Hatcher comes on through for P23, third place on the bronze podium there for A-Tit Racing Cyan, ahead of Sean Cranny Swash, who I do believe has had to retire on the final lap, and therefore that is going to give some further places to drivers as they make the way on through. We now do look what is here none other than A-Tit Racing Purple's Glenn Humberstone as he makes his way, weaving and winding his way up towards what will be the last couple of quarters of Home Rain, but as he does so, it will be a P24. So something has happened to Sean Cranny Swash. We haven't really got any data to explain what's happened, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, we haven't had any sort of confirmation. In fact, we might have a replay coming up very shortly in regards to that. But Glenn Humberstone at P24 there overall, P13 in the silver class, and then Craig Shield making a place on Sean Doby just before the line. Sean Doby getting it wrong. Craig Shield will be P4 in the bronze class for A-Tit Racing Cyan, but Sean Doby limping to the line. It'll be a P5 for him in class, but that is a very unfortunate end for the Clicks Racing driver, who looked comfortably in control of that P4 finish. And then very shortly, Phil will be coming on through to take what will be P6 bronze. It's an improvement on his previous results, so right now definitely a great debut for the driver from Hong Kong as he makes his way on through the last couple of corners. Stephen Ray is closing, but not close enough to really get involved here, so it will be a P27 overall for the number 15 driver, and then Stephen Ray will be your last finisher on this lead lap. P28 there for 24-hour puns of people in the number 97. It's P28 overall, P7 in the bronze class, but the big question we've all got is what happened to Sean Cranny Swash, and I think this might explain the story. Oh my good lord, and that was an incident with, I do believe, the number 13 car of what was Matt Strand. So the two of them coming together, and Cranny Swash will be involved in that, and the car going straight to the wall, and that was a last lap retirement for the 117 driver, and you can feel for him the fact that would have been on course for what would be P4 in the silver class, but not to be as a result there. And well, that might go to the stewards after the race, but again, we've only seen one camera angle. Perhaps there's more to the story than just that, but we had to bring the story to a close here, ladies and gentlemen, as it is now time for us to take a look at the race results subject to any stewards inquiries, and here they are for round number 10 of 13 in the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup Season 8, brought to you on iRacing. Nicholas Noel then taking his first win of the season for Impulse Racing, overwinning the gold class by 2.5 tenths over Paul Busby for Effect Simulations. Wasn't to be a win today for the 420 driver, but still a great drive to a second place finish in the second race of the day, and turning that round upside down from what was a difficult end to race number 1. P3, Philip Hammer for Impulse Racing, a huge points injection today for his championship hopes in the Drivers' Championship, and for Impulse Racing, it's their biggest points for the season when it comes to their finishing positions today. In the Teams Championship, finishing P3 there to make it a 1-3 for the team. And Effect Simulations, Tim Darracott, P4. They're just missing out on the podium, but still at a 2-4 for the team today, and that'll be a great day as far as they're concerned. Simon C. Bamber, P5 for UK Sim Racing admin team. Another top 5 finish and fighting hard for it ahead of Forsten Sved, who makes it back-to-back silver wins. His first 2 silver wins of the season for Ring Fiat Sim Racing. And what a way to do it in style there, being the ringmeister of the silver class, it must be said, ahead of Thomas Cope, P7 for Olympus X Geodesic, who just finished ahead of his teammate Oistein Hereford there in a challenging day for the team. Nathan Foster, P9 for Empire Motorsport, ahead of Lucas Romano, P10 for RPM. Run-up in the silver class, ahead of third-place silver finisher and best as P11 overall, Jeremy DeWeb for DBR. Then Matt Strand, P12, ahead of Charlie Max, with Nicholas Gronstrom at P14 there behind the double bronze winner from today, and Charlie Max for Friends Racing by Connexus, really delivering the gold standard in the bronze class, it must be said. And then Roxanne Marshall at P15 for 24-hour Punty People, wrapping up the top 15 overall. And the top 20 then following on through with Dirt Bounce, Casper Tunstead, DDD Blaming, Navarro de Bova and Gus Franken. P21, bronze runner-up, Ben Kirby there for All Spares by Connexus, 2 second places in a row. I think it'll be damage limitation in his battle with Charlie Max Stain. He'll be looking to strike back as of next week's races. And then we can see Marcel Fritsch, P22, ahead of Alistair Hatcher, your third place bronze finisher, to complete that bronze podium of Max, Kirby and Hatcher for ATIT Tech Races Cyan. Glenn Humberstone, P24, ahead of Craig Shield, and then Sean Dubby, File Out, and Stephen Ray to complete your top 28. And then to wrap up the finishing positions, ladies and gentlemen, a lap down each to Sean Cranny Trosh for 24-hour Punty People and Corey Lazarus for Blackout Motorsport OPR, both involved in an unfortunate instance with other drivers late on in the race. 2 laps down, David Biggerdike, the privateer. It's been a difficult debut for the 222 drive, but he'll be hoping for a better day next week. And Mark Cadmore the same there, retiring after only 1 lap accounted for, and that will mean that Mark Cadmore will be classified as a non-finisher as he did not complete over half the race distance in the number 86 privateer machine. That concludes all of our racing for today, ladies and gentlemen, and what a pair of races it has been. And indeed, the Nordschleife absolutely delivering. And we just like to quickly remind you, if you haven't already voted for your driver of the day, the vote is open. And you can do so using the link posted in the Twitch chat. It only takes 3 clicks to do so, and votes do close as of midnight tonight, Greenwich Mean Time, that's GMT, or Universal Coordinate Time, is UTC. But with that, just before we do step away, if you have been enjoying the racing today, and if you're not following the UK Sim Racing Twitch channel, we strongly recommend you do so straight away, so that way you can stay up to date with all the latest broadcasts, which we do bring on a weekly basis, only available on the official UK Sim Racing Twitch channel, live on air. And also to say that if you have been enjoying the racing this season, or perhaps you're new to today and you've been enjoying the racing all the same, if you've ever wondered how you can support UK Sim Racing, did you know there's a quick way to do so via our affiliates? For we at UK Sim Racing are affiliated with multiple sim racing and real-world motorsport companies, which do include Swirlo Meta Sim Racing Coaching, Race Anywhere and Demon Tweaks. And if you do head to our website, that's uksimracing.co.uk today, and website will appear on the screen in 3, 2, 1, and there she is in all of her glory. You notice there is a link in the top right corner of it to our Discord. Now, why would you want to go to the official UK Sim Racing Discord? Well, there's multiple reasons, but let's give you 3 of them. Firstly, it's a highly friendly community, and whether you're new to iRacing or sim racing in general, or whether you're a seasoned veteran, we'd love to have you be part of the community and have you on the grid for potential future series or one-off events. Secondly, if you ever want to be on the grid with us for a potential series or event, you do need to be part of the UK Sim Racing Discord. It's a mandatory requirement for you to be able to go racing, so that way you can attend the drivers' briefings. But also thirdly, and perhaps more relevant to today, in the fact that our affiliates do provide discount codes which are only available on the UK Sim Racing Discord. And if you use one of those codes as part of a purchase, it's a win for you because it puts you in pole position to receive a discount on your purchase. And also it's a winner for the UK Sim Racing community because we are a non-profit organisation at UK Sim Racing, and that means that every penny we make from kickbacks from affiliate purchases goes into funding future series, including the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup, the GT3 League, also what is the GT3 GTP Multiclass League, and plenty more we have planned for the remainder of 2023 and onwards into 2024. So do remember, a little purchase can go a long way in supporting UK Sim Racing, and right now 10 minutes is going to take us a good way to getting us ready for our post-round interviews. They'll be coming up shortly, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back soon to bring you them. You won't want to miss them. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is time for our post-round interviews with our volunteer drivers. And today we have two drivers who've offered up their time for us to conduct interviews. We're going to be hearing firstly from first-time gold class winner in the feature race of Nicholas Nold, who for Impulse Racing had an absolutely stellar day today. Couldn't quite make it a double podium, but came very close to doing so. And then we're going to be hearing from Olympus XG6 Thomas Cope, the gold class driver who did well to finish P2 in the heat race, but in the feature race it wasn't quite the race he wanted after a bit of an altercation with Corey Lazarus in the run up towards Arenberg Corner. But starting with one of our drivers of the moment today, let's bring Nicholas Nold into the interview room, and as he joins me now, good evening to you, Nicholas, and what a day from yourself today. I mean, you've picked up your first win of the season, and wins don't come easy in the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup, but at the Nürburgring, you finally made it happen.
Yeah, there was an intense final race. There's just crazy, how do I say, crazy event, I would say. Like the first race didn't. Yeah, the start went sort of optimal. Jumped the start, got a drive through, and had to serve that in the second lap. Lost my P3, ended up I think P4, P5, and then in the final race, that was some good fun with Busby.
Oh, that's very unfortunate on the drive-through, and that explains why we saw you come into the pits next. We were a little bit confused, but unfortunate on the jump start. But let's talk a little bit about some positives before we went racing. Qualifying in particular. P3 in qualifying, perhaps not quite able to mirror the lap set by Paul Busby for pole position, but coming close to your teammate Philip Hammer, and also being able to out-qualify Thomas Cope as well. I mean, it must have felt quite special to take P3 on the grid.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was a bit surprised that my second lap wasn't fast because in the first lap I went relatively slow for what I would think is slow, and to just keep it safe and like go full push on the next lap, and then on the next lap where I would think this will be the fastest lap of the day, I somehow just wasn't fast. I couldn't explain it, and yeah, but P3 was good. Didn't help on the race. Still a jump start.
Oh, indeed. And I have to ask, with regards to driving around the circuit, many talk about they absolutely love the Nürburgring Nordschleife. How do you feel about this circuit? Is this one that is a bit of a personal favourite to yourself? Because you looked absolutely flying out there in qualifying.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite track of the most favorite or second favorite track. I'm German. The track is German, so already a bit of a connection there, and it's amazing. It's like there's no racetrack like it in the world, and going like the section after the carousel all the way until the Döttinger Höhe, perfect section. So much fun to drive every time in any car. Yeah, really cool circuit.
Well, I love the enthusiasm for the circuit. And then coming on to race number one, let's look past the jump start, which was unfortunate. And I have to ask, was it something you knew had happened straight away? Did you feel it in the car? Or was it one of those ones where you sort of, oh, it's marginal, I'm not sure, and then you got told, no, you've jumped the start?
I was like, you have these lights that pop up, and then they were wet, and they popped up and were wet, and normally that's when I engage the clutch and go full throttle, and then I just wait for the lights to change to green, then I drop the clutch. But for some reason my spotter said there's an incident behind right after the red lights popped up, and my brain thought, oops, something changed on my display, I gotta drop the clutch. Yep.
Oh,
And
goodness.
ended up with the jump start.
Well, that's a very unfortunate moment, but still, coming on to the race in race number one, we got to see you enjoy some fantastic battling towards the front of the field, and for the first 2 laps at least, a 4-way fight between yourself, Hammer, Cope, and also Busby, with the possibility of Tim Darricott also getting involved, and Simon Bamber and Nathan Foster not too far behind. I mean, just take us through what it's like running that close with multiple other cars around the Nürburgring, because by yourself, this is a scary circuit. But then when you've got cars in front and behind, you can barely see the road in front of you, and then you're constantly looking in your rearview mirror as well. Just how do you manage it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how you explain it. It just happens. I trust the guys in front that they behave and they will not like break all of a sudden, but because we all want to win and we all drive as fast as possible, and I think we were pretty equal on pace. so we all could just do our stuff and trust the other guys and not messing up. And yeah, but like for my race, I had the problem that I knew I had to serve the penalty, and fighting would not give me anything because I would lose the positions anyway. And I just waited for lap 2 to serve the penalty to not drop too far back and get stuck in the pack. And yeah, but it was really fun. Like driving super close with other cars on the Nordschleife, best thing.
Oh, indeed, we absolutely loved it. And speaking of after you took your drive-through penalty, we did get to see a late charge from yourself to try and take third place back in the pursuit of Tim Darracott. It looked as though you were hounding and hustling him for the entirety of that final lap, but just couldn't quite find a way to get past.
I was too scared, to be honest, to go side by side into the last chicane. I did it once in practice, and it ended up well with both cars on the wall. So I decided, you know what, you're not fighting for the championship. Just let him pass, and you at least start one position higher up in for the feature race.
And then coming on to that feature race, to be fair, a smart call to start a bit further up the order, and a good start for yourself, making multiple places on the opening lap, and before you knew it, battling for the lead of the race.
Yeah, I in that race I told myself, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go full send. I want to win this. Pretend to P1, that's the goal. I think my overtakes were quite clean. I don't think I pushed anyone off. That's the most important thing. And then after I was on P2, I think I got to P2 in the first lap, right? I think so.
Yes.
And then I just went, you know what? Busby was, I don't know how far he was ahead, but he was ahead. I just went full push, trying to get into the draft, and then in the last lap, on the penultimate lap, I noticed that my tire wear was bad and my rear tires were absolutely burning. So I decided to go in front. Normally you want to be behind at the Nordschleife and then just pass at the final lap, but I went in front to kind of control the pace and be safe that I can go into the last carousel in front. Then my plan was to pretend like I made a mistake, drive a bit slower so Busby can pass me or will pass me, and then I can be behind going onto Döttinger Höhe and pass him, and that worked.
Oh, indeed, it worked an absolute charm. We got to see some fantastic last-minute battling between the two of you, and all the way through pushing up Busby to the limit, and in the end finding a way to come out on top. And I have to ask, in the second race with the extra lap added in, did that change the way you perhaps approached the race a little bit? I know you said you went all in with it, but just in fact you've got to try and keep the car alive for one more lap, a bit more fuel in the car as well at the start of the race. Does that change the way the car feels?
Yeah, a bit. I think the front was a bit heavier, so I don't know if it makes sense with the physics, but I think it was a bit harder to turn in. But I not normally when the race is longer, you want to take care of the tires a bit more. I didn't do that. I took care way less on the tires, and noticed that at the end that I should have taken a bit more care of the tires to not get into drift mode. But it worked out, so all good.
Oh, indeed, it worked out for you, and what a way to pick up your first win of the season. It's been a long time coming, and we're very pleased to see you make your way onto the top step. And of course, a major set of results today, not just for yourself, but also Impulse Racing as a whole. You as a team have extended your advantage over Olympus XGDC now to 27 points, and we're only 3 rounds remaining. Those points could not prove more important.
Yes, absolutely. Philip got some good points today, and also Cope was a bit unlucky that he crashed or was sort of crashed out. So that was unlucky for him. Good for us, of course. Really looking forward to the team fight at the end. Towards the end of the season, I'm not fighting for the drivers' championship, but I will do anything to help Philip. And yeah, we want to win both team championship and driver championship. That's the goal.
Oh, 100%. And with 3 rounds to go, in a week's time, we've got our last heat and feature doubleheader, which is going to be at the Imola circuit in Italy. How are you feeling for a visit to Ferrari's home circuit?
I hate Imola. That's the short version. I absolutely hate that track. You can get off tracks in every corner super easily, and I tend to get a lot of off tracks, so I can already see me completely destroying my quali lap, starting from the back, and yeah, I'm not looking forward.
Oh, goodness me. Well, sorry to hear that. Well, we definitely do look forward to seeing you at Imola in a week's time and hope that perhaps it can be a bit more of a positive experience whilst you're out on the circuit. But just before we do let you go, Nicholas, is there anywhere you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
I want to give a thank you to Philip. He told me before the interview to thank him, so I did it. Thank you, Philip. Good preparation for the race, and yeah, enjoyed the race enjoyed doing the race with you.
Well, Nicholas, it's been an absolute blast to have you join me in the interview room. Great to hear that ecstatic voice from yourself in terms of bringing home your first ever win in this series, and also what was a unfortunate but still a deserved P4 in the heat race. We look forward to plenty more from you at Imola, even though perhaps it's not a circuit you enjoy in a week's time. But until then, have a fantastic rest of your evening and savour the moment.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye bye.
So hearing it there from Nicholas Nold, absolutely over the moon with his performance today. You can hear it in his voice, and that's what I love to hear from a driver who's just picked up his first ever win in a series. And in competition this strong in the gold class, I mean, up and down the field, it's incredibly close. But in the gold class, we could have anybody win. Should one of our two champion-elects of either Thomas Cope or Philip Hammer drop the ball slightly, or be even a tiny bit off the pace, there are drivers there waiting to leap at the opportunity to put themselves on the top step. And Nicholas Nold has been one of them for round after round, and he's finally made it happen in round at number 10. And you could argue perhaps it could have come as well in the heat race if it were not for the jump start. But still, that's by the by, it's happened. And as he mentioned there, unfortunate, but at the same time had to get himself in the mindset for the feature race and really take himself out of the equation for the heat race, knowing he would not be able to win it given the penalty, and it'd only be cost himself time in the fight. Also talking there about the fact that this is one of his favourite circuits, if not his favourite, his second favourite, and of course local to home, being German himself, a circuit he absolutely adores. But coming up in a week's time, it's a circuit he does not like at all, the Imola circuit. And could we see it Nold on a bit of a back foot, and perhaps that might put the team's championship for Impulse Race on a bit of a back foot as well, given the fact that one of their drivers may not enjoy the circuit too much, but we'll have to wait and see. We'd also like to briefly apologise for the slight adult language that you did hear there from Nicholas, but I'm sure you'll forgive him, ladies and gents. But he's over the moon, absolutely happy with his performance. And sometimes when you've got to go all in and absolutely send it, well, we won't use the language he used, but I think it was the right call today, and that's why he's your winner in the feature race here at the Nürburgring. We're now coming on to our second and final interview for today. We're going to be hearing very shortly from, of course, one of our championship contenders of Thomas Cope. And as he gets ready to join me in the interview room, we'll get to hear his thoughts on what has been a day of a degree of damage limitation compared to what it could have been, particularly after that nasty shunt in what was the second race of the day. But as he gets ready to join me in the interview room, he'll hear that story and more. And indeed, he joins me now. Good evening to you, Thomas. And well, what a difference a week's break makes. On flying form after what was Bathurst, but today hasn't quite been your day to celebrate, and it does look as though some of the momentum has started to be brought down to earth.
Yeah, like you say, a bit of a dull look on today's race. Philip has put a nice extension on the championship lead, even with the drop round now involved. It's looking like an uphill climb for myself, but we've got 3 more races to go, 2 at Imola and 1 more at Road Atlanta, which I've shown I've got the pace for both those tracks. So we'll see how it goes. There's still quite a bit of racing to do, and yeah, the championship's not over till that final race, really.
Oh, indeed, a long way to go. And speaking about a long way around the circuit today, let's talk a little bit about qualifying. P4 in class, very close to get yourself onto what was the front row of the grid, albeit Paul Busby in a bit of a world of his own. But then the run for P2 between yourself, Nold and Hammer, it looked close out there, but in the end just edged out by both of the Impulse Racing cars.
Yeah, both of those two are quality drivers in their own rights, especially on this circuit. I mean, I would like to say they're Germans, so they will do better on the German circuit, but they are in a class of their own on their own occasions. So, I mean, we saw it last season out of Suzuka where Philip just walked away from me at the start of the race, and then we saw it again today. You know, just the pace they had in qualifying, both of them as well. I had no answer. I was struggling with pace today.
Well, the pace may not have been there in qualifying, and 6 tenths the delta between yourself and Nold, albeit 6 tenths around the Nürburgring is the equivalent we'd like to say to a couple of attempts at other circuits around the globe that are much shorter. But still, then turning the focus onto the race, did you have a particular approach in mind for the heat race, given the fact there was a bit of a pace difference between yourself and your rivals?
I just wanted to stick with the pack. I knew anything could happen. I knew it was going to come down to a bit of a last lap draft fest. And obviously we stayed close together all race. I got the jump on Nicholas Knoll because of the jump start. He stayed out obviously to get a bit of a jump on the rest of the grid and not fall too far back for the race too. But yeah, we stayed in it. Obviously Paul made the mistake as well, so it left it a 2-horse race. But I did make a couple of mistakes after that, and yeah, Philip had some good pace anyways. There weren't much I could do behind himself.
And I have to ask, obviously we talked to Nicholas only moments ago about running in a pack of cars, but talking about that dynamic of yourself and Hammer, when you're chasing somebody around the Nürburgring circuit, I mean at any circuit you pick up things such as dirty air and the understeer that comes with it, but around here there's so many corners where they're blind. Alternatively, you're essentially running a car that's already bouncing around its suspension. I think of Flansgarden and Irons as an example, but when you're chasing down somebody else, does it really feel as though it becomes the ultimate thrill of risk versus reward around here?
Yeah, it's always the case. This whole track is knowing your limits and pushing the limits. Usually on small circuits, you tend to push the limits because it's a small circuit, so there's less chance of killing yourself or other cars. Whereas this track is all about knowing your limits and knowing how far you can push a corner. Obviously, I can't even count and off the top of my head know how many corners there are. But there's so many corners on this circuit that one wrong judgment and one wrong call on what corner's up next, and it throws your whole line and your momentum out of sorts. And yeah, it's staying in a groove, and I'd like to say I had that groove today for my own pace that I know I could do. I just got a little bit unlucky with where I found myself fighting and some of the battles I had throughout the race.
Oh, I understand. And well, with that in mind, of course, and in the thrill of the pursuit, plenty of pursuing to do in race number 2, starting from what was P9 on the grid. And we saw in the early stages, I think on the race start and by the end of the first quarter of lap number 1, you already gained the best part of 2 to 3 places.
Yeah, I got a good jump on the start. I think it was Tim Darricott that started in front. I'm not 100% sure who it was actually, but there was someone who got a decent start alongside myself, and we went side by side into turn 1, and he settled in behind, which really helped put a gap between myself and Philip. And I wanted to start picking off cars. I knew I had pace. I knew I could make up positions and get towards the front with Nicholas and Paul Busby. But yeah, it was obviously this track with the whole knowing your limits. It's knowing where you can and can't overtake and picking your spots wisely. And I'll admit I just wasn't all there today. I made a few mistakes in where I chose to fight and where I should have and shouldn't have really.
Indeed, and the key mistake and what was a bit of a upsetting moment for your race in that battle with Corey Lazarus in the run up to none other than the dreaded fast left-hander of Schroeder-Kreuz. Just take us through that from your perspective, because it looked as though you're all trying to sort of squeeze into a bit of space that in the end just wasn't there for 2 cars to occupy.
Yeah, I'd love to see from Corey's point of view. I've tried contacting him and getting an understanding from how he felt on the situation. But with the time difference, it gets a little tricky. Obviously, I think he's already headed off out somewhere. But yeah, my point of view, I saw a gap. I wanted to try and take it around the outside, and then with how late into the corner we were, I thought about trying to pull out. I didn't pull out quick enough, really, and my nose was still there with the overlap. So when Corey filtered back in to take the corner, my front end was still there. And yeah, I kind of just turned him into the wall, which obviously there was only about a meter between the edge of the grass and the wall. So as soon as he hit the wall, he bounced straight back in and hit myself on the track.
Indeed, a nasty instant, but appreciate you breaking it down there and also highlighting in a way just how narrow this circuit is, and when it goes wrong, it can go very, very wrong very fast. But still, able to keep the car running, and from that point onwards, with quite a damaged car on the right-hand side, still trying to pick off the places and fighting for what was a 7th place overall, 6th place in class finish in the end.
Yeah, I was trying to mentally reset. My mind was all over the place after the incident with Corey. I felt I still had the pace to really catch with Thornston and Simon Bamber in front after the incident and at least stick with them. I did feel I had the pace over them, but just a couple of more scrappy mistakes after the incident, and the car wasn't 100%. And yeah, I ended up spinning on the exit of turn 1 on the Nords, and yeah, that really ruined it on the final lap. But yeah, I wanted to try and pick off at least 2 more spots to keep the gap a little closer to Philip, but my own mistake cost me a couple of extra points, and crucially could have well, it's too early to say, but it could have cost me the championship.
Well, indeed, we're a little bit too early to be discussing whether that could be the result that turns things, given there's 3 rounds of racing to go. And speaking of 2 rounds coming up in a week's time, we head to Imola for the final heat and feature combination of the season. How are you feeling for the Italian circuit?
Yeah, Imola's alright. Imola's a good track. I do like it. I've had a lot of practice around there, running a lot of laps. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be an interesting race. Hopefully, the one thing I can hope for now is a couple of incidents for Philip, but the way he's been driving recently, he's a very fast, consistent guy. He's always up on the podium, like myself when I'm on form. But yeah, we'll see. It's going to take a bit of a miracle, but it's racing. Anything can happen, and Imola is a very tricky track in its own right. So we'll see in a week's time what comes with the Imola circuit.
Oh, most definitely, and we look forward to seeing you on the circuit, giving it your all as you always do. But just before we do let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, as always, the whole Olympus Esports squad, they do an amazing job in all the leagues and helping everyone out and just doing everything they can to put out the best pace in every league we run. Yourself for the amazing broadcast. I'm going to enjoy, well, I say I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to watch through gritted teeth watching back the stream when it goes live on reruns. So yeah, it's always fun to watch, and just the UK organisers, they all do an amazing job behind the scenes, and I don't think they always get the full amount of credit they deserve, but they always get it from me because they do an amazing job every season.
Well, Thomas, we do appreciate your kind words, and as always, thank you for joining me in the interview room. Hasn't quite been your day today, and indeed, we see that reflection there. Quite convenient times we look back at the spin at turn number 1, come at the closing stages of the race, but still, 3 more rounds to turn things around, and we've still got plenty of race action to come. And like you say, it's not over until the very end. But until next week, we wish you all the best as always. Congratulations on your performances today, and have a fantastic rest of your evening.
Thank you very much, Paul.
So hearing that there from Thomas Cope from Olympus XGD, a bit of a downhearted Thomas Cope today as well, but you can understand why, in the fact that in what is really a championship where he can't afford to lose any results, given the fact he has a 0 score from the first 2 rounds, if there's even one slip in the results, it immediately has a major impact, because there's no way of turning that result into a drop score, a luxury which arguably Philip Hammer has, but of course it swings both ways, as we mentioned earlier in today's broadcast, and the fact that Hammer has to make sure he doesn't have multiple rounds where the score's low. But still, walking away from statistics and mathematics, let's focus on the driving and the interview itself. For Thomas Cope today, it definitely has been one of those days where things haven't quite worked out. In the heat race, a 2nd place finish in the end, and a couple of late errors in that race cost him the potential opportunity to chase down Hammer down the Dottinger Her, but still, that goes to show you how hard both of them are pushing one another, and still to finish 2nd there, it does mean that you're finishing right behind your championship rival, and that's the best you can do if you're not going to beat them. But then the feature race, and really it all started to trigger a domino effect when there was the incident with Corey Lazarus, and again, we're not pointing fingers either way. It looked so both of them wanted to contest the space and tried to give each other space, but in a bit of contact, which did see Lazarus turn across the front of Cope's car, going on to the run up towards Arenberg Corner, and with that, it all all unfolded. But still, for Thomas, he didn't give up. He kept pushing, as we see in the pictures here. Even after that later spin, coming on through Sabine Schmidtke going on to the final lap, the pressure of Nathan Foster was there, but it wasn't enough to upset the possibility of Thomas finishing at P6 in the class. It does mean he's got some points on the board from today, but of course not the points he's wanted. But there's still 3 rounds to go to the next week, and can he be back to winning ways in what is our last heat and feature combination? Well, you never know what can happen, and indeed Thomas Cope has just as much momentum as Philip Hammer in this championship. We reckon both of them will be vying for those wins, and whoever takes those wins at Imola, even if it's one apiece, well, it could level the playing field significantly when we go into the season finale at Road Atlanta. And well, of course, as Thomas mentioned, he's demonstrated the pace there, particularly when he made his debut in Season 7 of the Porsche Cup. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our interviews for today. And you've heard from 2 of our drivers, both in the gold class. We firstly heard from first-time gold winner in the feature race day of Nicholas Noel for Impulse Racing in the 917. And then we just heard from Olympus XG D6 Thomas Cope there, 2nd place finish in the heat race, and what was 7th place finisher overall in the feature race. Congratulations to them both once again, and thank you to them for joining me in the interview room. And we'd just like to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't casted your vote for driver of the day, whether it's one of these 2 guys or alternatively any one of our other 30 drivers who are on the field today going racing, do make sure to put your vote in using the Google form that's been linked in the Twitch chat. We've linked it one last time for you. And remember, votes close as of midnight tonight. That's GMT at Greenwich Mean Time, or UTC at Universal Coordinator Time. And we will announce who the driver of the day was for the Nürburgring Nordschleife on the broadcast in a week's time. But with that, it is now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed today's show and you want to know more about the UK sim racing community, perhaps you're sat there right now thinking that you want to be on the grid for a future rendition of the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup, perhaps in the new year of 2024, or perhaps you just want to know a little bit more about us behind the scenes. Well, to do that and all that more, you can definitely start off by going to our official website, that's uksimracing.co.uk, where you can find out all the information, also find out how to join our Discord, as we mentioned earlier on in today's broadcast. Alternatively, if you don't want to go to our website, perhaps you're more of a social media person, then the best place to go to is our Twitter. That's at twitter.com/UK Sim Racing _, where you can stay up to date with all the latest information and announcements regarding UK Sim Racing series and broadcasts, and also you can stay up to date with the trials, tribulations, successes, and scores of our official UK Sim Racing esports teams, particularly when they compete in official iRacing events. Also, we'd like to take this moment to say a big thank you to our affiliates, who do include, firstly, Swelly Meadows Sim Racing Coaching, the creator of the Motor Racing Checklist. Swelly Meadows Sim Racing Coaching can help take your sim racing driving to the next level. When you're looking to gain a 10th, improve your approach to the racing line, or develop your consistency, Swelly Meadows has a coaching course to meet your needs. Plus, with Swelly being a multi-time champion of official iRacing series, which do include the 2021 PESCC, you know you're receiving coaching from the very best in the industry. Then we have Race Anywhere, the provider of curated sim racing equipment, aimed to only stock products that represent excellent value for the sim racing community. Demon Tweaks, the provider of the most complete and innovative motorsport product range available worldwide, so no matter what your level of discipline, Demon Tweaks could help drive you to realise your motorsport ambitions. SimLab, the leading manufacturer of high-quality sim racing-related hardware, as a proud partner of Mercedes AMG Petronas Esports, SimLab aims to enhance SimLab aims to enhance virtual racing experiences with uncompromising solutions that push the boundaries of esports, and with in-house engineering and production facilities which combine Dutch design and high-end craftsmanship, SimLab is the go-to brand for quality sim racing rigs. Amazon, the company striving to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, the Earth's best employer, and the Earth's safest place to work through the provision of concepts pioneered by Amazon, which do include but are not limited to one-click shopping, Amazon Prime, and Amazon Alexa. And lastly, but by no means least, SRC Driver Academy, a division of Sim Racing Community. Elevate your sim racing skills with SRC Driver Academy. Their team of experienced professionals is dedicated to helping you reach your full potential without compromising on quality. But why choose SRC? To put it simply, affordable, quality coaching. They have experienced coaches who provide valuable insights on the competitive edge. They make high-quality coaching accessible to all and affordable costs tailored to your needs and goals. You can learn race strategies, precision driving, and much more, and they offer virtual coaching sessions at nearly all hours of the day, every day, ensuring flexibility for all. So join SRC Driver Academy today and unlock your true sim racing potential. Visit their website to learn more and accelerate your sim racing career. And well, ladies and gentlemen, time is accelerating in this series, and we've only got 3 rounds to go, 2 of which will be at next week. Save the date, because on Thursday, the 23rd of of November 2023. It is the Autodromo International Enzo Edino Ferrari, but you all know and love it and refer to as Imola, that will play host our drives for the penultimate week of racing and will be our final heat and feature combination. In the gold class, it is Philip Hammer who struck back strong today and holds on to his gold championship lead by a margin that has grown and could potentially tip the scales in the battle with Thomas Cope. In the silver class, Jeremy DeBoer still stands 7 points clear of Lucas Romano. In a night of racing at the Nürburgring, they've seen that the two of them not really move apart, and therefore it could not be closer between them. And meanwhile, in the bronze class, Charlie Max has now extended his advantage to 11 points almost. In fact, it's 9 points to be precise over Ben Kirby in the battle of the Connexus Racing drivers. And as for the team's championship, it is now the situation where Impulse Racing are 27 points clear provisionally of Olympus X GDC. It's all close at the front of all 4 championship categories, that means. And the next 2 rounds could really prove to be a deciding factor and who goes into the season finale on the potential high of taking that championship crown. We can't wrap up any of the championships unless there's any extreme results as of next week, but you'll need to tune in on the Thursday, 23rd November in order to find out how the story continues. Until then, we've been UK Sim Racing. I've been your host, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, but most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.